In this video, we're going to be breaking down Elbaf arc theories in one piece. Let's get started with the video. Starting it off with the Shanks family and the Figureland lineage theory. When most people think about the strongest pirates in the world of One Piece, red-haired Shanks often comes to mind. He stands as one of the 4 emperors who rule the seas with incredible power. But behind his friendly smile and easygoing nature lies one of the biggest mysteries in the entire series. For years, fans have wondered about Shanks's true background and family history. The answer to this mystery has slowly been revealed through hints and clues, painting a picture that connects Shanks to one of the most powerful families in the world. The story begins with a theory that shocked the One Piece community. Shanks being a member of the Figureland family was first hinted at in One Piece film, Red, 2.5 years before being confirmed in the manga. This came through a casual comment from one of the 5 elders, who mentioned that Uta would be of Figureland blood after learning she was Shanks's daughter, not knowing she was adopted. This single comment changed everything fans thought they knew about the red-haired pirate. The God Valley connection. To understand Shanks's family connection, we need to go back 38 years to an event called the God Valley Incident. This was one of the most important battles in One Piece history, though the world government has tried to erase all records of it. During the chaos of this massive battle, baby Shanks was placed in a treasure chest, which was later found by the Roger Pirates, who raised him and took him in as an apprentice. But how did a baby end up in a treasure chest during such a dangerous battle? The God Valley Incident was not just any battle. It was a clash between some of the strongest forces in the world: the Rocks Pirates, the Roger Pirates, the Marines led by Garp, and the Celestial Dragons with their God's Knights. The Figurelands were likely celestial dragons who ruled over God Valley, making them targets of the Rocks Pirates' attack. Recent revelations have shown us that Shanks and his twin brother Shamrock were born to Saint Figureland Garling and an unnamed woman from God Valley. Both twins inherited their mother's striking red hair, which explains why Shanks has such distinctive red hair and why his entire pirate crew is named after this feature. This also explains why his hair color is so different from his father's. Saint Figureland Garling, the father. The key figure in understanding Shanks's family is Saint Figureland Garling, who has been revealed as Shanks's father. God Valley was previously ruled by the celestial dragon Figureland family, and the king of God Valley was none other than Saint Garling himself. This makes Shanks not just any pirate, but the son of one of the most powerful people in the world. Garling is no ordinary celestial dragon either. He holds the position of Supreme Commander of the God's Knights, making him one of the strongest fighters among the world nobles. The champion of God Valley, Saint Figureland Garling, is still alive and holds a very special title among the world nobles. He serves as the judge and executioner of celestial dragons, meaning he has the authority to judge even other celestial dragons. This shows just how high his position really is in the world's power structure. What makes this connection even more interesting is how completely different Shanks turned out compared to his father. While there is still much to learn about the Supreme Commander of the God's Knights, it's clear that Garling's morals are the complete opposite of Shanks's. Garling shows no mercy and looks down on regular people, executing those who help commoners. Meanwhile, Shanks protects the weak and treats everyone with respect, regardless of their social status. This difference in character can be explained by their upbringing. Garling was raised among the celestial dragons, who view themselves as gods above all other humans. Shanks, on the other hand, was raised by Gol D. Roger and his pirate crew, who taught him about freedom, friendship, and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The twin brother revelation. One of the most shocking discoveries about Shanks's family came when fans learned he has a twin brother. Shanks was born into the Figureland family as Garling's son and Shamrock's younger twin brother. This twin brother, named Shamrock Figureland, grew up completely differently from Shanks. Saint Shamrock of the Figureland family is a world noble and the commander of the Knights of God. Born in God Valley, he is the son of Saint Figureland Garling and the older twin brother of Shanks. Unlike Shanks, who became a pirate and rejected his noble heritage, Shamrock stayed with the Celestial Dragons and now leads their most elite fighting force. The differences between the twins are striking and tell the story of their separate paths in life. Unlike his brother, Shamrock does not have the famous triple set of scars over his left eye and still possesses both arms. These physical differences help tell their stories apart. Shanks lost his arm, saving young Luffy from a sea monster, and got his scars from a childhood encounter with Blackbeard. Shamrock, however, has lived a completely different life within the protected walls of Mary Geoise, never experiencing the dangers and adventures that shaped his twin brother. The twins also dress differently, reflecting their chosen paths. Shamrock wears the formal military attire of the God's Knights, complete with a cape and official regalia. Shanks dresses like a typical pirate, with casual clothes and his iconic straw hat, which he later gave to Luffy. Even their hairstyles differ. Shamrock keeps his red hair in a neat braid, while Shanks has a more relaxed, windswept style. How Shanks ended up with Roger. The story of how Shanks came to be raised by the Pirate King is both tragic and hopeful. Baby Shanks was found as a 1-year-old boy by Gold D. Roger and his crew, hidden in a treasure chest that they took after their battle at God Valley. But why was a baby in a treasure chest during such a dangerous time? The most likely explanation is that it was Shanks and Shamrock's mother who hid the twins away in treasure chests, hoping to protect them from the violence. It was by complete chance that one of the chests ended up aboard Roger's ship. After all, even being raised by pirates would have been a safer fate than staying on God Valley, where even children were not spared during the brutal conflict. This decision by their mother, though desperate, ended up saving Shanks's life and setting him on a completely different path than his twin brother. Roger decided to raise the child on his ship as one of his cabin boys, and this choice eventually shaped the way the rest of the One Piece story would unfold. Without Roger's influence, Shanks might never have met Luffy, and the entire series might have gone in a completely different direction. The treasure chest discovery also explains why Shanks has such a strong connection to the concept of treasure. For him, treasure isn't just gold and jewels. It's the bonds between people, the memories shared with friends, and the dreams they pursue together. This philosophy came from being raised by Roger, who taught him that the greatest treasures in life are not material things. The missing scar mystery. For years, fans noticed something strange about certain appearances of Shanks in the manga. Sometimes he appeared without his famous scar, which didn't make sense since he got that scar as a child from his encounter with Blackbeard. In One Piece chapter 907, when Shanks was talking to the world government, the scar on his face was purposely hidden or missing entirely. This was actually a clever clue from author Eiichiro Oda that it wasn't really Shanks at all, but his twin brother, Shamrock. This detail was easy to miss at first, but looking back, it makes perfect sense. The manga has now confirmed that the character who met the 5 elders in the Room of Authority was actually not Shanks. This revelation solved a major mystery that had been confusing fans for years. When people thought Shanks was secretly meeting with the world government and possibly betraying his principles, it was actually his twin brother all along. The scar serves as one of the most important ways to tell the twins apart. Shanks got his 3 scars from Blackbeard when they were both young, long before Blackbeard ate his devil fruit and became truly dangerous. Shamrock, having grown up in the safety of Mary Geoise, never had such a dangerous encounter and therefore has no scars on his face. The meeting with the 5 elders. One of the most shocking moments in One Piece history was when Shanks appeared to meet with the 5 elders, the highest authority in the world government. The 5 elders met with a man who looked exactly like Shanks, and this person said he wanted to talk to them about a certain pirate. This meeting raised many questions about Shanks's true loyalties and whether he might be working with the world government. The 5 elders' words during this meeting were very telling. They said they were in the middle of the reverie and that a man with his position wasn't suitable to get involved in world politics. However, They made time to talk because it was him specifically. This suggested that whoever this was had some special status that allowed him this unprecedented meeting. But now we know the truth. It was Shanks' twin brother who met the 5 elders, not Shanks himself. It was never actually the red-haired pirate who met with the world government. It was his twin brother, Shamrock, who has every right to meet with them as a high-ranking member of the God's Knights and son of a celestial dragon. This revelation clears Shanks of any suspicion that he might be working against pirates or betraying his friends. The meeting that made fans question his loyalty was never his meeting at all. Shamrock, as a commander of the God's Knights, would naturally have business with the 5 elders and would be welcomed in Mary Geo's, Shanks's mother, and the red hair mystery. While we know quite a bit about Shanks's father and twin brother, his mother remains largely a mystery. However, there are important clues about her identity that help us understand Shanks better. The most obvious clue is that Shanks inherited his red hair from his mother, not from his father, St. Garling Figureland. This is significant because it means Shanks' most defining physical feature comes from his mother's side of the family. When we look at St. Garling, we can see that he has pale blonde hair, not red. Shamrock also has red hair like Shanks, confirming that both twins got this trait from their mother. The fact that Oda specifically chose to give Shanks his mother's hair color and made it his most recognizable feature suggests that his mother will be very important to the story. The mystery of Shanks's mother becomes even more intriguing when we consider the timing of events on God Valley. The twins were only about 1 year old during the God Valley incident, which means their mother would have been on the island during this dangerous time. The fact that she was able to hide her children in treasure chests suggests she knew the attack was coming and was prepared to save them. Some fans theorize that Shanks's mother might have been a member of the D clan, which would explain why Shanks has such a strong sense of justice and freedom, despite his celestial dragon heritage. The D clan has always been opposed to the world government, and if his mother was from this bloodline, it would add another layer to Shanks's character and explain his natural opposition to the cruel ways of the celestial dragons. Shanks's rejection of his heritage. One of the most important aspects of Shanks's character is how he has completely rejected his celestial dragon heritage. According to his twin brother Shamrock, Shanks did at some point return to the Holy Land, Mary Geo's, but ultimately chose his life in the lower world over his birthright as a celestial dragon. This choice speaks volumes about Shanks's character and values. Celestial dragons are known for their cruelty, arrogance, and complete disregard for human life. They keep slaves, torture people for entertainment, and believe they are literally gods among humans. For someone born into this system to reject it entirely shows incredible strength of character. Shanks chose the hard life of a pirate over the easy life of a world noble because he believed in freedom and protecting others. This rejection of his heritage also explains why Shanks is so different from other powerful figures in the One Piece world. He doesn't seek power for its own sake, doesn't look down on weaker people, and is willing to sacrifice himself for others. These values came from being raised by Roger and his crew, but his choice to maintain these values, even after learning about his true heritage, shows his true character. Shamrock, meanwhile, represents what Shanks could have become if he had stayed with the celestial dragons. Shamrock looks down on the lower world and has embraced the cruel ideology of the world nobles. The contrast between the twins shows how much our upbringing and choices shape who we become. The future implications. The revelation of Shanks's connection to the Figureland family has huge implications for the future of One Piece. As the series moves toward its final saga, the conflict between the old world order and the new generation of pirates is becoming more intense. Shanks, as someone caught between these two worlds, will likely play a crucial role in how this conflict resolves. The fact that Shanks has a twin brother who serves the world government creates interesting possibilities for future storylines. Will the twins ever meet face to face? Will Shamrock try to convince Shanks to return to his family? or will they end up on opposite sides of the final war? These questions add excitement and unpredictability to the story's conclusion. There's also the question of how this revelation will affect Luffy and the other characters who look up to Shanks. Learning that their hero is the son of a celestial dragon might challenge their understanding of who he really is. However, it will probably also reinforce the idea that your birth doesn't determine your character, your choices do. Why this theory matters. The Shanks-Figureland connection theory matters because it adds depth to one of One Piece's most important characters, while also tying together many loose plot threads. It explains Shanks's mysterious ability to meet with the world government, his incredible strength and influence, and why he seems to know so much about the world's secrets. More importantly, it reinforces one of One Piece's central themes, that family and bloodline don't determine who you are or what you can become. Shanks was born into the most privileged and corrupt family in the world, but he chose to become a protector of the innocent and a symbol of freedom. This choice makes him even more admirable as a character. The theory also shows how carefully Eiichiro Oda has planned the One Piece story. Clues about Shanks's heritage have been hidden throughout the series for years, and the payoff has been worth the wait. From the missing scar in chapter 907 to the red hair that clearly came from his mother, every detail has been carefully crafted to support this revelation. The connection between Shanks and the Figureland family represents one of the most significant revelations in One Piece history. It transforms our understanding of one of the series' most beloved characters while adding new layers of complexity to the ongoing story. Shanks is not just a powerful pirate, he's a man who chose freedom over privilege, kindness over cruelty, and friendship over power. This revelation also sets up exciting possibilities for the series' conclusion. As the final war approaches, Shanks will likely find himself caught between his birth family and his chosen family. His ultimate choice in this conflict will help determine the future of the One Piece world. The Figureland connection proves that in the world of One Piece, what matters most is not where you come from, but what you choose to do with your life. Shanks chose to inspire a new generation of pirates to chase their dreams, and that choice has shaped the entire course of the series. No matter what his bloodline might be, Shanks will always be remembered as the man who gave Luffy his hat and set him on the path to becoming the Pirate King. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have Loki's legendary devil fruit theory. In the world of One Piece, few characters have generated as much excitement and mystery as Prince Loki of Elbaf. Known as the Accursed Prince and the Shame of Elbaf, Loki represents one of the most intriguing puzzles in the entire series. His story begins not with heroic deeds, but with an act that shocked the entire giant race: the murder of his own father, King Harold, allegedly to obtain a legendary devil fruit that had been passed down through Elbaf's royal family for generations. This devil fruit has become the center of countless theories among One Piece fans, with speculation ranging from connections to Norse mythology to potential ties with the sun god Nika himself. The mystery deepens when Loki boldly declares himself to be the sun god who will destroy the world, a claim that both terrifies and confuses those who hear it. After all, how can someone claim to be a sun god while threatening to bring about the world's destruction? The royal legacy. The story of Loki's devil fruit begins with understanding Elbaf's royal tradition. Elbaf's legendary devil fruit has been passed down the royal family for generations, according to the giants who know the history of their kingdom. This fruit was not just any ordinary power, it was considered so valuable and dangerous that it required the protection of an entire royal bloodline. The fact that this fruit was specifically guarded by royalty suggests it holds incredible power, perhaps even the ability to change the course of history itself. For a fruit to be considered legendary in a world filled with powerful devil fruits like Whitebeard's earthquake powers or the ancient Zoan fruits of the world government, it must possess truly extraordinary abilities. King Harold, Loki's father, was the previous guardian of this fruit. Known as one of the mightiest kings in Elbaf's history, Harald represented everything noble about the giant race: strength, honor, and wisdom. He worked tirelessly to make Elbaf a more peaceful and civilized country, moving away from the traditional, barbaric methods that had defined giant culture for centuries. Harald even cooperated with the world government in some matters, believing that diplomacy was better than endless warfare. The fateful murder 14 years ago, everything changed when Loki allegedly killed his father to obtain the legendary devil fruit. This act of patricide shocked the entire kingdom and earned Loki his terrible reputation. However, the true circumstances surrounding Harald's death remain unclear, and some theories suggest there may be more to the story than meets the eye. Loki claimed he did not kill his father out of cold blood, hinting that there might have been deeper reasons for his actions. Some fans theorize that Loki may have been trying to protect the fruit from falling into the wrong hands, or that he discovered something about his father that forced his hand. The world government's involvement in various kingdoms has often led to betrayal and manipulation, and Elbaf may not have been immune to such schemes. What we do know is that after consuming the devil fruit, Loki became incredibly powerful, so powerful that it took the combined strength of all the giants in Elbaf to restrain him and put him in chains. This fact alone speaks volumes about the fruit's incredible power. The giants of Elbaf are already known as the strongest race in the world, so for an entire nation of these powerful beings to struggle against one individual shows just how devastating this devil fruit's abilities truly are. The sun god connection. One of the most fascinating aspects of Loki's character is his claim to be the sun god. When he first met Luffy, Loki boldly declared, "I am the sun god who will destroy the world." This statement creates an immediate conflict with what fans know about the sun god Nika, who is supposed to be a warrior of liberation who spreads joy and freedom. The sun god Nika has deep connections to Elbaf's culture and religion. The giants worship Nika as a deity, and they believe he will return one day to liberate the world from oppression. Many giants aspire to become like Nika, seeing him as the ultimate ideal of what a warrior should be. Even Road, one of the new giant warrior pirates, calls himself the sun god, though his claim is more wishful thinking than reality. But Loki's case is different. His claim to be the sun god isn't just boastful talk, it's backed up by genuine power that even other giants acknowledge. The people of Elbaf themselves believe that when Loki is freed from his chains, the world will truly end. They don't make this claim lightly. They've seen what Loki is capable of, and they know his strength intimately. The dual nature of Nika. The key to understanding Loki's connection to the sun god lies in recognizing that there are different interpretations of Nika's legend. According to the Harley scripture, which is part of Elbaf's ancient mythology, the world of One Piece has been destroyed twice before, and both times the name of the sun god Nika was involved in these destructions. This creates a fascinating duality in Nika's nature. While some people see Nika as a liberator who frees people from their chains and spreads joy wherever he goes, others see him as a god of destruction who brings about the end of corrupt worlds so that new, better ones can be born. Both interpretations could be correct, representing different aspects of the same divine power. This duality explains how both Luffy and Loki can claim to be the sun god while having completely different goals. Luffy represents Nika the Liberator. Vandy, he frees people from oppression, defeats tyrants, and brings hope to the hopeless. Loki, on the other hand, could represent Nika the Destroyer, one who tears down corrupt systems so that something better can take their place. The theory of two Nika fruits. One of the most compelling theories about Loki's devil fruit is that there are actually two versions of the Nika fruit. According to Dr. Vegapunk's explanation of how devil fruits are created, these powers come into existence through human desires and wishes. When enough people want something to be real, the collective human consciousness creates a devil fruit that grants those powers. If people had different ideas about what Nika was like, this could easily have given rise to two different versions of his power. Some people wished for Nika the Liberator to be real, giving rise to the fruit that Luffy now possesses. Others wished for Nika, the god of destruction, to be real, creating the legendary fruit that was passed down through Elbaf's royal line and eventually consumed by Loki. This theory explains why both fruits would be considered legendary and why they would have such incredible power. They're both manifestations of one of the most important mythological figures in the One Piece world, just representing different aspects of his nature. Luffy's version grants the power of liberation and joy, while Loki's version grants the power of destruction and renewal. The evidence for this theory becomes stronger when we consider that devil fruits, with similar themes, often exist in multiple versions. There are multiple fire-based fruits, Ace's flame fruit, and Akainu's magma fruit, multiple ice-based fruits, and multiple animal-based zoans. It would make perfect sense for there to be multiple versions of the most legendary power in the world. Norse mythology connections. Loki's connection to Norse mythology goes far beyond just sharing a name with the famous trickster god. The entire Elbaf arc is filled with references to Norse legends, and Loki's character seems to be inspired by multiple figures from these ancient stories. The most obvious connection is to Loki, the Norse god of mischief and chaos. In Norse mythology, Loki is a complex figure who sometimes helps the gods and sometimes works against them. He's known for his cunning, his ability to change shape, and his role in bringing about Ragnarok, the end of the world. This parallels perfectly with One Piece's Loki, who claims he will destroy the world and has been causing chaos since childhood. But there's another Norse figure that might be even more relevant to Loki's devil fruit, Surtur, the fire giant who leads the destruction during Ragnarok. Surtur is depicted as a massive being who wields a flaming sword brighter than the sun itself. During Ragnarok, it's Surtur who sets the world ablaze, burning everything to ash, so that a new world can be born from the destruction. The connection between Loki and Surtur becomes even more interesting when we consider Elbaf's weaknesses. According to the giants themselves, Elbaf's two biggest weaknesses are fire and lightning. Loki already has control over lightning through his massive hammer Ragnir, which can summon thunderbolts from the sky. If his devil fruit grants him power over fire as well, he would literally possess both of the forces that could destroy his homeland, the hammer and the power. Loki's weapon, Ragnir, provides important clues about his overall abilities. This massive warhammer can summon lightning strikes from the sky, creating thunderclouds and sending down powerful bolts that can start fires wherever they strike. The name Ragnir itself seems to be a combination of Ragnarok, the end of the world in Norse mythology, and Mjolnir, Thor's legendary hammer. But Ragnir might be more than just a weapon. It could be an extension of Loki's devil fruit powers. In the One Piece world, some devil fruit users can channel their abilities through weapons or objects. If Loki's fruit is related to destruction or fire powers, the hammer might be how he focuses and amplifies these abilities. The fact that Hadrudin, Loki's half-brother, specifically wanted the flame fruit during the Dressrosa arc becomes more significant in this context. If Hadrudin knew that his brother possessed fire-related powers, he might have been seeking a way to fight on equal terms. Fire against fire would be a fair battle, unlike trying to fight fire with just physical strength. The world tree and ancient symbols. Elbaf itself is built around the massive treasure tree atom, which bears a striking resemblance to Yggdrasil. In Norse legends, Yggdrasil connects all 9 realms and is central to the structure of the universe itself. When Ragnarok comes, even this mighty tree will shake and suffer damage from the apocalyptic events. In One Piece chapter 1142, when Loki struck the treasure tree atom with his hammer, lightning immediately struck that location and spawned fires in Elbaf's underworld. This could be symbolic of his power to bring about destruction even to something as mighty and sacred as the world tree itself. If his devil fruit truly grants him the power to destroy the world, the World Tree would be one of the most important targets. There's also a massive sword embedded in Elbaf that appears in the same panels where Loki talks about destroying the world. This sword could be connected to Surtur's legendary flaming blade, suggesting that Loki's full power might involve wielding both his hammer and this mysterious sword in some kind of ultimate destructive attack. The alternative theory, DTA, the missing Nika fruit. While the two Nika fruits theory is compelling, there's another possibility that has gained traction among fans. Some theorize that the legendary devil fruit of Elbaf was actually the original Nika fruit, DI, the same one that Luffy now possesses. According to this theory, the fruit was stolen from Elbaf years ago, possibly by the world government, and Loki never actually obtained it. This theory suggests that when Loki killed his father, he was trying to protect the Nika fruit from falling into the wrong hands, but the world government agents got to it first. The fruit eventually ended up on a government ship where Shanks found it and took it, eventually leading to Luffy eating it by accident. If this theory is true, then Loki might have eaten a different fruit entirely, perhaps a fake version created by the world government, or a completely different legendary fruit that the royal family kept as a backup. This would explain why Loki calls himself the sun god despite not having the real Nika powers, and why his version seems focused on destruction rather than liberation. The timeline supports this theory to some extent. Harold was killed 14 years ago, and the Nika fruit was on a government ship 13 years ago when Shanks took it. Luffy ate the fruit 12 years ago, meaning there was about a 2-year gap between Harold's death and Luffy gaining the power. This gap could represent the time it took for the stolen fruit to make its way through government channels before Shanks intercepted it. The trickster aspect. Another possibility for Loki's devil fruit draws more directly from his Norse namesake's nature as a trickster and shapeshifter. Loki, in Norse mythology, is known for his ability to change his appearance, deceive others, and create illusions. If One Piece's Loki has similar powers, his devil fruit might be something like a trick fruit or an illusion fruit. This type of power would explain several mysteries about Loki's character. His eyes are always covered, which could be because his gaze has some special power related to illusions or mind control. His ability to claim he's the sun god so convincingly might be because he can create illusions that make others believe his claims. The fact that it took an entire country to restrain him could be explained if he was able to create multiple copies of himself or confuse his enemies with illusions. Even his laugh, Doga Doga, could be a clue. It sounds similar to dogma, which relates to beliefs and deceptions. If Loki's power is trickery-based, it would create an interesting parallel with Usopp, the Straw Hat Crew's own trickster, who specializes in lies and deceptions. This could set up a future confrontation where Usopp's experience with lies and tricks allows him to see through Loki's illusions. The mythical Zoan theory. Given the legendary status of Loki's devil fruit and its connection to Elbaf's ancient history, many fans believe it must be a mythical Zoan fruit. These fruits allow users to transform into mythological creatures and are considered among the most powerful devil fruits in existence. Several Norse mythological creatures could fit Loki's character and powers. This would give Loki incredible physical strength and the symbolic power of ending the old world order. Jormungandr, the world serpent, the massive snake that surrounds the world and will poison the sky during Ragnarok. This could explain Loki's potential for world-ending destruction. Nidhogg, the dragon that gnaws at the roots of Yggdrasil and represents decay and destruction. This would connect directly to Loki's threat against the World Tree. Surtur, the fire giant, the being who will burn the world during Ragnarok with his flaming sword. This fits perfectly with Loki's fire-based powers and world-ending threats. Each of these options would grant Loki incredible power and explain why the giants fear his release so much. A mythical Zoan fruit based on any of these creatures would be worthy of being called legendary and would justify being passed down through royal bloodlines for protection. The fire and lightning connection. One of the strongest pieces of evidence for Loki's devil fruit type comes from the established weaknesses of Elbaf itself. The giants have confirmed that their kingdom's two greatest vulnerabilities are fire and lightning, the very forces that could destroy their tree-based civilization. Loki already demonstrates control over lightning through his hammer Ragnir, but his devil fruit likely grants him power over fire as well. This would make him a living embodiment of everything that could destroy Elbaf, which explains why his own people fear him so much. The combination of fire and lightning also connects to various mythological figures. Thor controls lightning, while Surtur controls fire. If Loki's fruit allows him to wield both elements, he would essentially have the combined destructive power of multiple Norse gods. During Big Mom's flashback, it was mentioned that the sun god used fire powers to calm the chaos caused by a young Linlin. If Loki truly has a sun god fruit, fire powers would be a natural extension of that connection. The sun, after all, is fundamentally a massive ball of fire and plasma, the world's end prophecy. Throughout Elbaf, there's a consistent belief that Loki's release will bring about the end of the world. This isn't just fear-mongering or exaggeration. It's a genuine belief held by people who have seen Loki's power firsthand. The giants of Elbaf are not easily impressed or frightened, so their unanimous agreement about Loki's destructive potential speaks volumes. This prophecy aligns perfectly with Norse mythology's concept of Ragnarok, where the world ends in fire and flood before being reborn anew. If Loki's devil fruit is connected to this mythological event, his power might not just be about destruction for its own sake, but about clearing away the old world to make room for something better. In the context of One Piece's larger story, this could mean that Loki's role is to help destroy the current corrupt world order, the world government, the celestial dragons, and all the systems that oppress regular people. His destruction might be exactly what the world needs to be truly free. The chains that bind, the fact that Loki is bound with sea stone chains tells us definitively that he has devil fruit powers, since sea stone specifically weakens devil fruit users. But even while weakened by these chains, Loki demonstrates incredible strength. He can still swing his massive hammer and threaten to destroy Elbaf, suggesting that his full power is truly terrifying. The chains themselves might be symbolic of the greater theme in One Piece about freedom and liberation. Loki is literally in chains, much like the slaves and oppressed people that Luffy has freed throughout his journey. If Loki is truly another version of the sun god, his eventual freedom could represent the liberation of destructive forces needed to tear down corrupt systems. The future revelation, as the Elbaf arc continues to unfold, fans eagerly await the full revelation of Loki's devil fruit powers. Whether he possesses a second Nika fruit, a fire-based Logia, a Norse mythology mythical Zoan, or something completely unexpected, his powers will undoubtedly play a crucial role in the arc's climax. The theory that has gained the most traction among fans is that Loki possesses the destruction version of the Nika fruit, making him a dark mirror to Luffy's liberation version. This would create a fascinating dynamic where both characters have legitimate claims to being the sun god, but represent completely different aspects of that power. Whatever the truth turns out to be, Loki's legendary devil fruit represents one of the most significant power-ups introduced in the final saga of One Piece. Its revelation will likely reshape how fans understand both the mythology of the series and the true nature of the sun god Nika. The mystery of Loki's legendary devil fruit encompasses everything that makes One Piece theories so compelling: deep connections to real-world mythology, careful foreshadowing by the author, and implications that could reshape the entire story. Whether Loki possesses a second Nika fruit representing destruction, a powerful fire-based ability inspired by Norse mythology, or something completely unexpected, his power will undoubtedly be central to the climax of the Elbaf arc. The theory that resonates most strongly with the evidence is that Loki possesses a god of destruction version of the Nika fruit, created by people who viewed the sun god as a force of necessary destruction rather than pure liberation. This would explain his incredible power, his claim to be the sun god, and the giant's fear of what will happen when he's freed. Regardless of which theory proves correct, Loki's devil fruit represents the culmination of years of careful world building and mythology creation by Eiichiro Oda. Its eventual reveal will not only showcase one of the most powerful abilities in the series, but also deepen our understanding of the sun god Nika and the true nature of freedom in the One Piece world. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to Robin and Jaguar D. Saul reunion theory. In the world of One Piece, few moments carry as much emotional weight as the long-awaited reunion between Nico Robin and Jaguar D. Saul. What started as a theory based on hope and careful analysis became one of the most touching confirmations in the entire series. The revelation in Chapter 1066 that Saul had survived the Ohara incident and was living on Elbaf set the stage for what would become one of the most emotional reunions in manga history. This reunion represents more than just two friends meeting again after many years. It symbolizes the triumph of hope over despair, the power of survival against impossible odds, and the fulfillment of a promise made during one of the darkest moments in One Piece history. For Robin, this meeting means reconnecting with the only surviving piece of her childhood, and the man who gave her the strength to keep living when the entire world wanted her dead. The foundation of their bond. To understand the importance of this reunion, we must first look back at how Robin and Saul's friendship began. 22 years ago, a young Robin discovered a shipwrecked giant on the shores of Ohara. This giant was Jaguar D. Saul, a former Marine Vice Admiral who had deserted the Navy after learning about their plans to destroy Ohara and all its innocent people. Saul was different from anyone Robin had ever met. While the other people on Ohara either ignored her or treated her badly because of her devil fruit powers, Saul immediately accepted her for who she was. He taught her his unique laugh, Darashishishi, and told her that laughing could help make even the hardest times feel a little better. More importantly, he showed her kindness without expecting anything in return. Their friendship was built on simple moments that meant everything to a lonely child. Robin would steal bread and jam to feed Saul, and he would tell her stories and make her laugh. For the first time in her life, Robin had found someone who truly cared about her happiness and well-being. Saul saw past her reputation as a devil child and recognized her for what she really was, a brilliant, kind-hearted little girl who deserved love and friendship. The Ohara incident and Saul's sacrifice. The peaceful days of their friendship came to a terrible end when the world government launched a buster call against Ohara. This massive military attack was designed to completely destroy the island and everyone on it, all because the scholars of Ohara had been researching the forbidden history of the Void Century. During the chaos of the attack, Saul made the ultimate sacrifice to protect Robin. He fought against his former Marine colleagues, destroying several warships to give Robin a chance to escape. When his old friend Kuzan, Admiral Aokiji, confronted him, Saul refused to back down. Even as Kuzan froze him solid with his ice powers, Saul used his final moments to encourage Robin to keep living. His last words to her became the foundation of her entire future. "Sail until you find friends that will stand by you. You'll surely find them. No one is born to be alone." These words would echo in Robin's mind for the next 22 years, giving her the strength to survive when everything seemed hopeless. At the time, everyone believed that Saul had died protecting Robin. The world government certainly thought he was dead, and Robin carried the pain of believing she had lost her first and only friend. For more than 2 decades, she mourned his loss while trying to live up to the promise she had made to him, to keep living and find true friends who would accept her. The revelation in Chapter 1066. Everything changed in One Piece, Chapter 1066, titled The Will of Ohara. During a conversation with Dr. Vegapunk, Robin learned something that would shake her to her core. Saul had actually survived the Ohara incident. Vegapunk revealed that he had visited Ohara shortly after its destruction and discovered a group of giants pulling books from the lake where the scholars had thrown them to save their research. Leading this group was a giant covered in bandages, Jaguar di Sol. The flames from the burning island had melted Kuzan's ice, allowing Sol to escape into the ocean. Though he was badly burned and scarred, he had survived. More importantly, he had organized the rescue of Ohara's precious books, ensuring that the knowledge the scholars died to protect would not be lost forever. Vegapunk explained that Sol had brought these books to Elbaf, where they were kept safe in a special library. This meant that not only had Sol survived, but he had also been protecting Robin's heritage and her mother's research all these years. When Robin heard this news, she broke down in tears of joy, relief, and overwhelming emotion at learning her first friend was still alive. This revelation transformed Robin's upcoming journey to Elbaf from just another adventure into a deeply personal pilgrimage. She was not just going to explore a new island, she was going to reunite with the most important person from her childhood and finally see the rescued knowledge of her homeland. The journey to Elbaf. The anticipation for this reunion built throughout the Egghead arc and into the beginning of the Elbaf arc. Fans could see how much this meant to Robin. She even cut her hair to look more like she did as a child, perhaps wanting Sol to see her as the little girl he had protected so many years ago. When the Straw Hat Pirates finally reached Elbaf, Robin's excitement was obvious to everyone. This wasn't just another island to explore. This was her chance to reconnect with a piece of her past that she thought was lost forever. The other Straw Hats, understanding how important this was to Robin, made sure to accompany her to the meeting place. Sol had become a teacher on Elbaf, working at the Walrus School, where he taught history to young giants. He had spent the past 22 years not only recovering from his injuries, but also studying and protecting the knowledge that had been saved from Ohara. In many ways, he had become the keeper of Robin's heritage, ensuring that the work of her mother and the other scholars would not be forgotten. The emotional reunion in Chapter 1133. The actual reunion took place in One Piece Chapter 1133, titled Nice Things, and it exceeded every fan's expectations for emotional impact. The chapter began with a heartbreaking flashback showing just how difficult Robin's life had been after escaping from Ohara. The world government had painted her as a demon responsible for the island's destruction, and everywhere she went, people treated her with fear and hatred. The flashback revealed that Robin's suffering had been so intense that she had actually considered taking her own life. Standing on a cliff, ready to end her pain, she was stopped only by remembering the words of her mother and Sol, who had both told her to keep living. This scene showed just how close the world had come to losing Robin forever, and how much strength it had taken for her to keep going. When the Straw Hats arrived at the location where Sol was supposed to be, they found him collapsed on the ground. Everyone panicked, except for Robin, who approached calmly with a knowing smile. It turned out that Sol was playing a prank, trying to recreate their first meeting when he had scared her by roaring suddenly. Even after all these years, he was still the same gentle giant who used humor to connect with others. The reunion itself was everything fans had hoped for and more. Sol immediately noticed how much Robin had grown and how much she resembled her mother, Nico Olvia. He began to express his anger about how the world had treated her over the years, but Robin stopped him. She didn't want to talk about the bad things that had happened. Instead, she made a simple but powerful request. Please praise me for having survived for so long. This moment captured the heart of Robin's character and her journey. Despite all the pain, betrayal, and loneliness she had endured, she had kept her promise to Sol. She had survived, she had found friends who cared about her, and she had made it back to him. She didn't need sympathy for her suffering. She needed recognition for her strength. Sol's response was immediate and heartfelt. He embraced her in a giant hug and praised her for enduring everything the world had thrown at her. A child of that age, chased by the entire world. You have done well, Robin. Well done surviving that whole 22 years. and coming all this way. His words finally gave Robin the validation she had been seeking for more than 2 decades. Both Robin and Saul broke down in tears, and their emotion was so powerful that it affected everyone around them. Even the usually stoic members of the Straw Hat crew found themselves crying as they witnessed this reunion. Luffy, understanding the significance of the moment, smiled warmly as he watched his friend finally reconnect with her past. The significance of Saul's survival. Saul's survival carries deep meaning beyond just the emotional impact of the reunion. His rescue of Ohara's books represents the preservation of forbidden knowledge that the world government tried desperately to destroy. These books contain research about the Void Century, ancient weapons, and the true history that the world government has worked for centuries to hide. The fact that this knowledge survived on Elbaf, protected by giants who are not affiliated with the world government, creates new possibilities for uncovering the truth about the world's past. Robin, as the last person who can read the ancient language of the poneglyphs, now has access to her mother's research and the work of all the scholars who died protecting this knowledge. Saul's role as a teacher on Elbaf also shows how he has honored the memory of Ohara. Rather than hiding the rescued knowledge, he has been sharing it, educating the young giants about history, and ensuring that the lessons of the past are not forgotten. He has become a living bridge between the lost civilization of Ohara and the present day. The survival of both Robin and Saul proves that the world government's attempt to erase Ohara from history was ultimately unsuccessful. The will of Ohara, the desire to uncover and preserve the truth, lives on through them. This creates a powerful theme about how knowledge and truth cannot be completely destroyed, no matter how much force is used against them. The impact on Robin's character development. This reunion represents the completion of a major arc in Robin's character development. From the moment she joined the Straw Hat Pirates, Robin has been learning to trust and be trusted. The Enies Lobby arc showed her accepting that she had found friends worth living for. But this reunion with Saul represents her reconnecting with her past and integrating it with her present. For years, Robin carried the weight of being the sole survivor of Ohara. She believed she was the only one left who remembered her homeland and understood the importance of the research that had been lost. Learning that Saul survived and had preserved that knowledge lifted a burden she had carried alone for decades. The reunion also validates Robin's decision to keep living when everything seemed hopeless. Saul's pride in her survival confirms that her choice to endure was not just personally meaningful, but historically important. If Robin had given up, the world would have lost its last link to Ohara's knowledge and the ability to read the poneglyphs. Furthermore, this reunion shows how Robin's current friendships with the Straw Hat Pirates fulfill the promise that Saul made to her as a child. He told her she would find friends who would stand by her, and the presence of the crew during this emotional moment proves that his faith was justified. The broader implications for the story. Beyond its emotional significance, this reunion has important implications for the ongoing plot of One Piece. With access to Ohara's preserved knowledge and Robin's ability to read poneglyphs, the Straw Hat Pirates are now better positioned than ever to uncover the secrets of the Void Century and understand the true history of their world. The books rescued from Ohara may contain information about ancient weapons, the great kingdom that existed during the Void Century, or other secrets that the world government has tried to hide. This knowledge could be crucial for the final confrontation between those who seek freedom and those who want to maintain the current oppressive system. Saul's presence on Elbaf also adds another powerful ally to the Straw Hat Pirates' cause. As a former Marine Vice Admiral who chose justice over blind obedience, Saul represents the kind of moral courage that will be needed in the final battles ahead. His knowledge of marine tactics and his connections to other giants could prove valuable in the conflicts to come. The reunion also strengthens the bond between the Straw Hat Pirates and the giants of Elbaf. The giants have always respected strength and courage, and Saul's story of protecting Robin and preserving Ohara's knowledge demonstrates both qualities. This respect could lead to an alliance that gives the Straw Hats access to some of the world's strongest warriors. The Owl Library and O'Hara's legacy. One of the most significant aspects of this reunion is the revelation of the Owl Library on Elbaf, where all the rescued books from O'Hara are kept. This library represents more than just a collection of books. It's a monument to the scholars who died protecting knowledge and a promise that their sacrifice was not in vain. The library is run by a giant named Biblo, who has the power to make books bigger so they can be read by giants. This detail shows how much care the giants have taken to preserve and study O'Hara's research. They haven't just stored the books, they've made them accessible and useful for future generations. For Robin, visiting this library will be like returning home. She'll be able to see her mother's handwriting, read the research that cost so many lives to protect, and understand more about the world's hidden history. This access to her heritage will help her complete her dream of uncovering the true history of the world. The existence of this library also challenges the world government's narrative about O'Hara. They claimed the scholars were dangerous criminals who wanted to destroy the world, but the preservation of their research by the peaceful giants of Elbaf tells a different story. It shows that knowledge itself is not dangerous. It's the suppression of knowledge that leads to problems. Themes of hope and perseverance. The Robin Saul reunion embodies some of the most important themes in One Piece: the power of hope, the importance of perseverance, and the idea that no one is truly alone. Robin's survival through decades of persecution and Saul's dedication to preserving O'Hara's legacy both demonstrate how individuals can make a difference even when facing overwhelming odds. The reunion also reinforces the theme that promises matter and that keeping one's word is important. Saul promised Robin that she would find friends who would accept her, and he was right. Robin promised to keep living, and she honored that commitment even when it seemed impossible. Both characters kept their promises, and their reunion is the reward for that faithfulness. Another important theme is the idea that the past and present can be reconciled. Robin doesn't have to choose between her old life and her new one. She can honor her heritage while embracing her current friendships. The presence of the Straw Hat Pirates during her reunion with Saul symbolizes this integration of past and present. The emotional impact on readers. For readers who have followed One Piece for years or even decades, this reunion represents the payoff of a long emotional investment. Robin's tragic backstory has been one of the most heartbreaking elements of the series, and seeing her finally reconnect with Saul provides a sense of closure and healing that is deeply satisfying. The reunion also demonstrates Eiichiro Oda's skill as a storyteller. By taking the time to show Robin's suffering in detail before revealing Saul's survival, Oda created maximum emotional impact when they finally meet again. The contrast between Robin's darkest moments and her joy at the reunion makes the happy ending feel earned and meaningful. Many readers have reported crying while reading Chapter 1133, which is a testament to how effectively Oda conveyed the emotions of the characters. The reunion feels authentic and powerful because it's built on a foundation of genuine relationship and shared experience, rather than cheap sentimentality. Looking forward, while the reunion itself is deeply satisfying, it also opens new possibilities for the future of the story. Robin now has access to knowledge and support that could be crucial for the Straw Hat Pirates' ultimate goal of finding the One Piece and uncovering the world's true history. The relationship between Robin and Saul will likely continue to develop throughout the Elbaf arc. Saul can provide Robin with insights about her mother and the other scholars of O'Hara, helping her understand more about her heritage and her role in preserving ancient knowledge. Additionally, Saul's presence adds another mentor figure to the series. Just as Rayleigh guided Luffy and taught him about Haki, Saul could help Robin develop her abilities and understand the deeper significance of the knowledge she carries. The reunion between Robin and Jaguar D. Saul represents one of the most emotionally powerful moments in One Piece history. It validates Robin's journey from a lonely, persecuted child to a valued member of the Straw Hat Pirates, while providing closure for one of the series' most tragic backstories. More than just a happy ending, this reunion serves the larger narrative by preserving important knowledge, strengthening alliances, and reinforcing the themes of hope and perseverance that run throughout the series. It shows that even in the darkest times, holding on to hope and keeping promises can lead to unexpected joy and fulfillment. For Robin, this reunion means that she is no longer the last survivor of O'Hara, carrying the burden of her heritage alone. She has reconnected with her past while maintaining her new family, creating a bridge between the world that was lost and the world that could be. The tears of joy she shed in Saul's arms represent not just personal happiness, but the triumph of love and friendship over hatred and oppression. This moment will be remembered as one of the defining scenes of One Piece, demonstrating why the series has touched so many hearts around the world. It proves that sometimes the most powerful moments in fiction are not about epic battles or shocking revelations, but about the simple joy of two friends finding each other again after a long and difficult journey. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have O'Hara's legacy lives on theory, the complete theory, the foundation of knowledge. The story of O'Hara's legacy begins with understanding what made this island so special. Located in the West Blue, O'Hara was home to the Tree of Knowledge, a massive 5,000-year-old tree that served as the world's greatest library. This wasn't just any ordinary library. This was a living repository of human history that contained knowledge from across the entire world. For thousands of years, archaeologists and scholars from every corner of the globe traveled to O'Hara to study and contribute to this incredible collection. The Tree of Knowledge represented something the world government feared more than any pirate crew or revolutionary army: the truth about history itself. The scholars of O'Hara dedicated their lives to understanding the past, especially the mysterious 100-year period known as the Void Century. This era, which occurred 800 to 900 years ago, had been completely erased from official records by the world government. But the O'Hara researchers weren't content to let sleeping dogs lie. Led by Professor Clover, these brave scholars spent years piecing together fragments of the truth. They studied ancient texts, decoded mysterious stone tablets called poneglyphs, and slowly began to uncover what really happened during those lost 100 years. What they discovered was so dangerous that it would ultimately cost them their lives. The Tree of Knowledge itself was a marvel of nature and human achievement. Standing for 5 millennia, it had grown to become the oldest known structure in the world. Inside its massive trunk, archaeologists had built a library that housed thousands of historic resources gathered from every corner of the globe. This ancient tree contained more than just books and scrolls. The scholars had created detailed models showing their understanding of the world, including a geocentric model of the blue planet that revealed the planet had 6 natural satellites. Their research encompassed astronomy, history, linguistics, and archaeology on a scale never seen before or since. The world government's fear. The world government didn't destroy O'Hara because the scholars were criminals or threats to innocent people. They destroyed it because knowledge itself had become their greatest enemy. The truth about the Void Century revealed that the current world government was built on lies and violence. During the Void Century, there existed an advanced kingdom with incredible technology and progressive ideals. This ancient civilization was so advanced that it posed a threat to 20 other kingdoms who eventually banded together to destroy it. These 20 kingdoms would later become the world government we know today. The ancient kingdom represented everything the current rulers feared. It was a civilization that valued knowledge, freedom, and progress over control and oppression. Their technology was centuries ahead of anything that existed in the current world, and their ideals about cooperation and peace threatened the power structure that the 20 kingdoms wanted to maintain. The world government erased all traces of this ancient kingdom from history because they feared people would learn the truth about how they came to power. They couldn't risk anyone discovering that their authority was built on the destruction of a more advanced and possibly more peaceful civilization. When the scholars of O'Hara got too close to uncovering these secrets, the world government made the decision to eliminate them entirely. They ordered a buster call, a devastating military attack that would reduce the entire island to ash and rubble. The government's fear of knowledge was so intense that they were willing to commit genocide to protect their secrets. The irony was that the scholars of O'Hara posed no military threat to anyone. They were peaceful researchers whose only weapons were books and curiosity. But in the eyes of the world government, these scholars were more dangerous than any army because they threatened to expose the lies that kept the current system in power. The tragedy of O'Hara. 22 years before the current events in One Piece, the world government launched their attack on O'Hara. It was one of the darkest moments in the series, showing just how far the government would go to protect their secrets. The attack began with CP9 agents infiltrating the island and discovering the scholars' research into the poneglyphs. When Chief Spandine realized the scope of what the archaeologists had uncovered, he immediately called for a buster call to eliminate every trace of their work. The buster call brought massive warships to surround the island. Marines prepared to destroy everything and everyone connected to the forbidden research. The scholars knew they were doomed, but they weren't ready to let their life's work die with them. Professor Clover attempted to negotiate with the world government agents, trying to explain that their research was purely academic and posed no threat to anyone. But the government officials had no interest in listening. They were operating under orders to eliminate all evidence of the forbidden research, regardless of the cost in human lives. In a desperate attempt to save their precious knowledge, the archaeologists began throwing all the books from the Tree of Knowledge into the lake below. They hoped that somehow, someday, someone would find these books and continue their work. This act of desperation would prove to be one of the most important decisions in the history of the One Piece world. During this tragedy, a young Nico Robin watched her mother and all the other scholars sacrifice themselves for knowledge. She also met Jaguar D. Saul, a giant who had defected from the Marines because he couldn't support what the world government was doing. Saul tried to help Robin escape, but during the battle, he was frozen solid by Admiral Kuzan, also known as Aokiji. Everyone believed Saul had died that day, including Robin herself. The island was destroyed, the scholars were dead, and it seemed like their knowledge was lost forever. The destruction was total and merciless. The Tree of Knowledge, which had stood for 5,000 years, was reduced to burning wreckage. The town around it was obliterated, and every building that had housed centuries of accumulated wisdom was turned to ash. The world government even went so far as to erase O'Hara from all maps, as if the island had never existed. The secret survival. For over 20 years, the world believed that Jaguar D. Saul had perished in the ice. But this giant had something even stronger than ice running through his veins: determination to protect what the scholars had died for. Saul actually survived his encounter with Kuzan. The freezing attack that everyone thought had killed him had actually preserved him in a state of suspended animation. After the attack ended and the Marines left, he managed to break free from his frozen prison. But instead of seeking revenge or fleeing to safety, Saul made a choice that would preserve the legacy of O'Hara for future generations. The giant discovered that the scholars' desperate plan had worked. The books they threw into the lake had survived the destruction. The water had protected them from the flames that consumed everything else on the island, but retrieving these books would require a massive effort that only someone with Saul's size and determination could accomplish. Working with other giants, including members of what would become the new giant warrior pirates, Saul carefully retrieved every single volume from the water. This massive rescue operation required incredible effort and coordination. The books had to be carefully dried, preserved, and transported across the dangerous waters of the Grand Line. The recovery process took months to complete. Each book had to be individually examined, dried, and restored to prevent damage from the water exposure. Saul and his companions worked tirelessly to ensure that not a single piece of knowledge would be lost. They understood that they were saving more than just books, but Saul and his giant companions understood the importance of what they were saving. These weren't just random books and scrolls. They represented centuries of accumulated human knowledge and the life's work of the world's greatest scholars. The giants recognized that protecting this knowledge was a responsibility that went beyond personal safety or convenience. The decision to save the books also meant that Saul had to remain hidden from the world. If the world government discovered that he had survived and was protecting the very knowledge they had tried to destroy, they would stop at nothing to eliminate him and reclaim the books. So Saul made the difficult choice to let everyone, including Robin, believe that he was dead. The journey to Elbaf. After recovering the books from O'Hara's lake, Saul and the giants made the long journey to their homeland of Elbaf. This island nation of giants had always been known for their strength in battle. But under King Harold's rule, they were beginning to embrace learning and knowledge as well. The journey to Elbaf was dangerous and difficult. The Grand Line is treacherous under the best circumstances, and transporting thousands of delicate books across these waters required careful planning and execution. The giants had to protect their precious cargo from storms, sea monsters, and potential discovery by world government forces. King Harold was a progressive ruler who wanted to transform Elbaf from a kingdom of warriors into a nation that could trade and cooperate with the outside world. He saw the value in education and asked Saul to establish a school for the giant children. This request aligned perfectly with Saul's own beliefs about the importance of knowledge and learning. Harold's vision for Elbaf represented a fundamental shift in giant culture. For generations, the giants had been known primarily as fierce warriors who settled disputes through combat. But Harold understood that the world was changing and that Elbaf needed to evolve if it wanted to remain relevant and prosperous. The king's reforms faced resistance from some traditional giants who believed that their warrior heritage was being abandoned. But Harold persisted in his efforts to modernize Elbaf, understanding that knowledge and education were just as important as physical strength in the modern world. Saul agreed to Harold's request and founded the Walrus School 20 years ago. But more importantly, he also established a special library to house all the books he had saved from O'Hara. This became known as the Owl Library, and it would serve as the new home for the world's most dangerous knowledge. The choice of location for the Owl Library was carefully considered. Built on Branch Route 8 of Elbaf, hanging over the Warrior's Spring, the library was both accessible to the giants and protected from outside threats. The location also provided the peaceful environment necessary for serious study and research. Dr. Vegapunk's discovery. Not long after the destruction of O'Hara, the brilliant scientist Dr. Vegapunk visited the ruins of the island. He came to pay his respects to Professor Clover, whom he had known personally and respected greatly. But what Vegapunk found there changed everything. During his visit to the destroyed island, Vegapunk encountered Saul and the giants who were in the process of retrieving the sunken books. This meeting was crucial because it connected two of the smartest individuals in the One Piece world. Both men shared a passion for knowledge and a deep respect for the scholars who had died protecting their research. Vegapunk was amazed to discover that the knowledge of O'Hara had survived. The scientist understood better than most people the value of what the scholars had been researching and how important it was to preserve their work. He followed the giants to Elbaf and was given access to the complete collection in the Owl Library. Using his incredible memory, Vegapunk studied and memorized everything the scholars had learned about the Void Century. This knowledge would later influence Vegapunk's own research and understanding of the world's true history. It also helped him understand the connection between the ancient kingdom and the advanced technology that still existed in the modern world. This knowledge would later influence Vegapunk's own research and understanding of the world's true history. It also connected him to Monkey D. Dragon, who had also visited O'Hara's ruins and was deeply moved by what the world government had done to innocent scholars. The meeting between Vegapunk and Dragon at O'Hara's ruins was significant because it showed how the tragedy had inspired people across the world to oppose the world government's tyranny. Dragon would go on to form the Revolutionary Army that same year, partly motivated by what he had witnessed at the destroyed island. Both Vegapunk and Dragon understood that the destruction of O'Hara represented something larger than just an attack on one island. It was a symbol of how the world government would go to any lengths to protect their power, even if it meant destroying innocent people and invaluable knowledge. The connection between these three brilliant minds, Vegapunk, Dragon, and Saul, would have far-reaching consequences for the future of the One Piece world. Each of them, in their own way, would work to ensure that the truth about the Void Century would eventually be revealed. The Owl Library's magic. The Owl Library on Elbaf is unlike any other library in the world, thanks to a giant owl named Biblo who has the power of the Iku Iku no Mi devil fruit. Any normal-sized book that enters the library instantly grows to giant proportions. This magical transformation makes it possible for the giants of Elbaf to easily read the books that were originally created for human-sized scholars. Without this ability, the giants would have struggled to use the knowledge that Saul had worked so hard to preserve. The power ensures that knowledge can be shared, regardless of the size difference between species. Biblo has served as the chief librarian for hundreds of years, protecting and organizing the vast collection. The owl's devil fruit ability represents something beautiful about the One Piece world. Two highs, how different species and abilities can work together to preserve and share knowledge. Biblo's dedication to his role shows that the love of learning transcends species boundaries. The library itself is built on Branch Route 8 of Elbaf, hanging over the Warrior's Spring. Its location makes it both accessible to the giants and protected from outside threats. The building serves as both a center of learning and a symbol of how Elbaf has evolved under progressive leadership. The interior of the Owl Library is a marvel of organization and design. The books are carefully categorized and arranged to make research as efficient as possible. The giants have created reading areas that accommodate their massive size, while still maintaining the quiet, contemplative atmosphere that serious study requires. The library also serves as a meeting place for scholars and thinkers from across Elbaf. It has become a hub of intellectual activity, where new ideas are shared and debated. The presence of the O'Hara books has elevated the level of discourse and research on the island to heights that would have been impossible before. Robin's emotional return. In Chapter 1134, one of the most emotional moments in One Piece history finally occurs. After believing for over 2 decades that her mentor and the knowledge of her homeland were lost forever, Robin discovers that both Saul and O'Hara's books have survived. The reunion between Robin and Saul is particularly powerful because it represents hope triumphing over despair. For years, Robin carried the weight of being the sole survivor of O'Hara's tragedy. She believed she was the only person left who could read the ancient language of the poneglyphs, and that the responsibility for preserving her homeland's legacy rested entirely on her shoulders. When Saul reveals that every book from O'Hara's Tree of Knowledge has been preserved in the Owl Library, Robin is brought to tears. This discovery means that her mother's sacrifice and the work of all the scholars wasn't in vain. Their knowledge lives on and can continue to benefit the world. The emotional impact of this revelation cannot be overstated. Robin has spent her entire life feeling isolated and burdened by the responsibility of carrying O'Hara's legacy alone. She has faced persecution, loneliness, and constant danger because of her ability to read the poneglyphs. Now, she discovers that she was never truly alone. Saul had been protecting that legacy all along. For Robin, seeing the preserved books represents more than just the survival of knowledge. It represents the survival of her childhood, her mother's love, and the dreams of everyone who called O'Hara home. The books are physical proof that the scholars' sacrifices had meaning and that their work will continue to make a difference in the world. The moment when Robin first steps into the Owl Library and watches a book in her hand grow to giant size is symbolic of how her own understanding is about to expand. She now has access to research and resources that she never had before, which means she can finally fulfill her true potential as a scholar and historian. The living legacy. The preservation of O'Hara's knowledge represents more than just saving books from destruction. It demonstrates that ideas and truth are more powerful than any military force the world government can deploy. The scholars of O'Hara believed that knowledge belonged to all people, not just those in power. They died defending this principle, but their sacrifice wasn't meaningless. Through Saul's efforts and the giant's protection, their work continues to educate new generations. In the Owl Library, the knowledge that the world government tried to destroy is now being shared with the children of Elbaf. These young giants are learning about true history, critical thinking, and the importance of questioning authority. This education represents everything the world government fears. The transformation of Elbaf from a kingdom of warriors to a nation that values learning shows how knowledge can change entire civilizations. King Harold's reforms, supported by Saul's educational efforts, prove that societies can evolve and improve when given access to truth and education. The Walrus School that Saul established has become a symbol of this transformation. Giant children who might have once been trained only in combat are now learning to read, write, and think critically about the world around them. They are being taught that strength comes not just from physical power, but from understanding and wisdom. The curriculum at the school includes not just basic education, but also lessons about history, philosophy, and the importance of preserving knowledge for future generations. The children learn about the scholars of O'Hara and the sacrifices they made to protect the truth. This educational approach is creating a new generation of giants who value learning and critical thinking. These children will grow up with a very different worldview than their ancestors, one that prioritizes cooperation and understanding over conflict and domination. Connections to the Void Century. The books preserved in the Owl Library contain crucial information about the Void Century that goes far beyond what even Robin learned as a child. This knowledge includes details about the advanced ancient kingdom, the war that destroyed it, and the formation of the current world government. The ancient kingdom possessed technology that was centuries ahead of its time. This civilization had developed advanced machinery, incredible architectural techniques, and possibly even weapons that surpassed anything in the modern world. Their technological superiority was one of the reasons the 20 kingdoms felt threatened enough to unite against them. The ancient kingdom also had ideals about freedom and cooperation that threatened the power structure of the 20 kingdoms that would later become the world government. They believed in sharing knowledge and resources rather than hoarding them for the benefit of a select few. The war that ended the Void Century wasn't just a political conflict, it was a battle between two different visions of what the world should be. The ancient kingdom represented progress, knowledge, and freedom. The 20 kingdoms represented traditional power structures and control. When the 20 kingdoms won this war, they didn't just defeat their enemy, they erased them from history entirely. The world government has spent the last 800 years maintaining this lie, ensuring that no one learns about the advanced civilization they destroyed. The preserved books from O'Hara contain detailed accounts of this conflict and its aftermath. They reveal how the 20 kingdoms systematically destroyed not just the ancient kingdom's military and political structures, but also their cultural and intellectual achievements. The D-clan connection. The preservation of O'Hara's knowledge also sheds light on the mysterious D-clan, of which both Saul and Robin's mother Olvia are members. The D-clan appears to be connected to the ancient kingdom that was destroyed during the Void Century. People with the D initial are often called the enemies of the gods by those who know about them. This title makes more sense when we understand that the gods they oppose are the world nobles who descended from the 20 kingdoms that destroyed the ancient civilization. The D clan members seem to carry an inherited responsibility to oppose the world government and expose the truth about the Void Century. This isn't necessarily a conscious mission that is passed down through families, but rather an instinctive drive to seek freedom and justice that manifests in different ways. Saul's dedication to preserving O'Hara's knowledge isn't just about protecting books. It's about protecting the truth about his own heritage and the crimes committed against his ancestors. The D clan members seem to carry an inherited responsibility to expose the lies of the world government. Robin, as both a D clan member and the last scholar of O'Hara, represents the perfect person to finally reveal the truth to the world. With access to both the poneglyphs and the complete O'Hara library, she has everything needed to piece together the full story of the Void Century. The connection between the D clan and the Ancient Kingdom suggests that the current conflict between the world government and people like Luffy is actually a continuation of the war that ended the Void Century. The struggle between freedom and oppression that defined that ancient conflict continues to this day. The future of knowledge. The discovery of O'Hara's preserved library sets the stage for major revelations in the final saga of One Piece. Robin now has access to research and resources that she never had before, which means she can finally fulfill her dream of uncovering the true history of the world. The Straw Hat Pirates' arrival at Elbaf marks a turning point in their journey. They're not just visiting another island, they're accessing the most complete collection of historical knowledge in the world. This information will be crucial for understanding the final mysteries of the series. The world government's greatest fear is about to be realized. The knowledge they tried to destroy by attacking O'Hara has not only survived, but has been carefully preserved and studied for over 2 decades. Now it's in the hands of people who will use it to expose the truth. Saul's role as a teacher and historian on Elbaf shows how knowledge can be passed down through generations. The children he's educating today will grow up understanding the real history of their world, making them immune to the world government's propaganda. The preservation of O'Hara's knowledge also means that future scholars will have access to research methods and historical techniques that were developed over centuries. This knowledge isn't just about the past, it's about how to study and understand the world in ways that the current generation has forgotten. The ultimate victory. The survival of O'Hara's knowledge represents the ultimate victory of truth over tyranny. Despite the world government's use of overwhelming military force, they failed to achieve their primary objective, destroying the dangerous knowledge that threatened their power. The scholars of O'Hara believed that knowledge should be free and available to everyone. 22 years after their deaths, their work is now being shared with a new generation of learners who will carry these truths forward into the future. Robin's reunion with Saul and the discovery of the preserved library proves that hope and determination can triumph over even the darkest circumstances. The tragedy of O'Hara has been transformed into a story of resilience and renewal. The Owl Library stands as a monument to the power of knowledge and the importance of preserving truth for future generations. It shows that even when the powerful try to erase history, dedicated individuals can ensure that the truth survives. The legacy of O'Hara lives on, not just in books and buildings, but in the hearts and minds of everyone who believes that knowledge belongs to all people. The scholars who died protecting their research have achieved a victory more meaningful than any military conquest. They have ensured that the truth will never be lost. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Thanks for watching. Moving on, we have Elbaf and Ancient Weapons Connection Theory, the foundation of ancient power. The connection between Elbaf and the ancient weapons runs deeper than most fans realize. This island nation of giants, which has remained unaffiliated with the world government for over 800 years, holds secrets that could reshape our understanding of the most powerful weapons in the One Piece world. Elbaf is not just any ordinary kingdom. It stands as the strongest country in the world, populated by warriors whose strength has kept them independent from world government control throughout history. This independence is crucial because it suggests the giants possess knowledge or power that the world government either fears or desperately wants to control. The ancient weapons, Pluton, Poseidon, and Uranus, represent the pinnacle of destructive capability in the One Piece universe. Each weapon is named after a Greek god and possesses the power to reshape the world itself. What makes Elbaf's connection to these weapons particularly intriguing is the giants' unique position in world history and their deep ties to the Void Century. The giants of Elbaf have lifespans that far exceed those of humans, meaning their cultural memory extends much further back than most civilizations. While the world government has spent centuries erasing history and controlling information, the giants have maintained their independence and, likely, their ancient knowledge. The treasure tree, Atom Connection. At the heart of Elbaf stands the legendary treasure tree Atom, a colossal tree that dwarfs even the massive giants who live among its branches. This tree is not just a landmark, it represents a direct connection to the ancient world and the weapons that nearly destroyed it. The wood from the treasure tree, Atom, is known throughout the world for its incredible strength and durability. This same wood was used to construct some of the most important ships in One Piece history, including the Thousand Sunny. But the connection runs deeper than just shipbuilding materials. Recent revelations have shown that an ancient mural exists on the bark of the treasure tree, Atom, carved during the Void Century by giants who lived through that tumultuous period. This mural depicts a massive war involving various races fighting together against a common enemy. The imagery suggests that the giants were not just witnesses to the ancient conflict, but active participants. The mural shows different races, united in battle against what appears to be a colossal threat. This historical record, preserved on the tree for over 800 years, provides evidence that Elbaf was deeply involved in the events that shaped the current world order. What makes this connection to the ancient weapons even more significant is the fact that the treasure tree Atom has provided materials for ship construction throughout history. Given that Pluton is described as the most powerful battleship ever built, the connection between Elbaf's legendary wood and the ancient weapons becomes impossible to ignore. The Harley texts and ancient history. The discovery of the Harley texts in Elbaf's Owl Library has revealed unprecedented information about the world's ancient history. These texts, which predate even the Void Century, describe a pattern of destruction and renewal that directly connects to the ancient weapons and their role in shaping the world. According to the Harley texts, the world has been destroyed twice in the past through the misuse of powerful forces. The first world was consumed by flames when humans sought to harness the power of what the texts call the Forbidden Sunday. This ancient energy source was so powerful that even Vegapunk's mother flame pales in comparison to its might. The second world corresponds to the Void Century, when the ancient weapons were unleashed in a global conflict that raised sea levels by 200 meters and reshaped the planet's geography. The texts describe how the sun god appeared to help the oppressed peoples, but was ultimately defeated by 20 kings who collaborated with the earth god. These historical records, preserved in Elbaf's library, provide context for understanding how the ancient weapons function and why they are so feared by the world government. The giants' access to this information makes them uniquely positioned to understand the true nature and purpose of these devastating weapons. The fact that these texts have survived in Elbaf while being destroyed or hidden everywhere else speaks to the giants' commitment to preserving historical truth. Their independence from the world government has allowed them to maintain records that would have been eliminated in any other nation. The sun god Nika connection. One of the most significant revelations about Elbaf's connection to ancient powers is the giants' knowledge of the sun god Nika. Unlike most of the world, where Nika's name has been erased from history, the giants of Elbaf have maintained their connection to this legendary figure. Recent chapters have shown that giants like Dori and Brogi possess attacks with sun in their names, suggesting a deep cultural connection to solar imagery and the sun god himself. This knowledge appears to be independent of the Ohara books that Saul brought to the island, indicating that the giants had their own separate understanding of Nika's significance. The connection between Nika and the ancient weapons is becoming increasingly clear. As the sun god, Nika represents freedom and liberation, repressive how, the antithesis of the oppressive power that the ancient weapons represent when used by the world government. The giants' knowledge of Nika suggests they understand the true purpose these weapons were meant to serve. In the ancient conflict described by the Harley texts, Nika appeared to help unite the various races against their oppressors. This historical precedent suggests that the ancient weapons were originally created not as tools of destruction, but as instruments of liberation that could be used to fight against tyranny. The giants' continued reverence for Nika, combined with their historical knowledge, positions them as natural allies for anyone seeking to use the ancient weapons for their intended purpose, rather than for conquest and control. Uranus and the Mother Flame mystery. The most mysterious of the ancient weapons, Uranus, has recently been confirmed as the weapon used by the world government to destroy Lulusia Kingdom. This devastating attack was powered by Vegapunk's Mother Flame, creating a connection between ancient technology and modern innovation. What makes this particularly relevant to Elbaf is the giant's historical knowledge of ancient energy sources. The Harley texts describe the Forbidden Sun as an ancient power source that was far more powerful than anything in the modern world. This suggests that the giants may possess knowledge about the original power source that Uranus was designed to use. Vegapunk's Mother Flame appears to be an attempt to recreate this ancient energy source, but in a limited and controlled form. The fact that even a small sample of the Mother Flame could power Uranus enough to destroy an entire island demonstrates the incredible potential of the original technology. The giants' knowledge of this ancient energy source could be crucial for understanding how Uranus truly functions. Their historical records may contain information about the weapon's original design, its intended purpose, and possibly even how to counter its destructive power. The location of Uranus itself remains unknown, but the giants' historical accounts might provide clues about where this powerful weapon is hidden. Given their involvement in the ancient conflict, Elbaf could even be the original resting place of Uranus, kept safe by the giants for centuries. Pluton's true nature. While Pluton is currently buried beneath Wano country, the connection between this ancient weapon and Elbaf runs deeper than geographical proximity. The fact that Pluton was built using shipbuilding techniques that may have originated with the giants suggests a fundamental connection between Elbaf and this devastating warship. The blueprints for Pluton, which were preserved in Water 7, described a ship so advanced that even master shipbuilders struggled to understand its construction. The complexity of the design suggests that it incorporated knowledge and techniques that went beyond normal human understanding. Given that the giants are master craftsmen with access to the legendary treasure tree Adam Wood, it's possible that they played a role in Pluton's original construction. Their size would have made them ideal workers for building such a massive vessel, and their access to superior materials would have been essential for creating something capable of withstanding the weapon's own destructive power. The giants' historical knowledge might also reveal Pluton's true intended purpose. While the weapon is described as capable of destroying islands, the ancient texts might reveal that it was originally designed for a different purpose, perhaps as a tool for liberation rather than destruction. Understanding Pluton's connection to Elbaf could be crucial for determining how the weapon should be used when it is eventually awakened. The giant's knowledge of its original purpose could guide decisions about whether and how to deploy this devastating power. Poseidon and the Sea Kings. Of all the ancient weapons, Poseidon might seem the least connected to Elbaf, given that it manifests as a mermaid princess with the power to control sea kings. However, the giant's historical knowledge provides important context for understanding this weapon's true significance. The mural on the treasure tree, Adam, shows various races working together during the ancient conflict, including what appears to be fishmen and mermaids. This suggests that the giants were allies with the underwater kingdoms during the Void Century, possibly including the ancestors of the current Fishman Island. The giants' knowledge of Poseidon's true purpose could be crucial for Princess Shirahoshi's development as the current incarnation of this ancient weapon. Their historical accounts might reveal how previous Poseidons used their power and what role the weapon was meant to play in the ancient conflict. The promise that Joy Boy made to Fishman Island, which has yet to be fulfilled, might be connected to knowledge that the giants possess. Their understanding of the ancient agreement could provide guidance for how Poseidon should be used in the coming conflict. The Sea Kings themselves are ancient creatures that have existed since the Void Century. The giants' historical records might contain information about these massive sea monsters and their role in the ancient world. This knowledge could be essential for understanding how to properly coordinate with Poseidon's power. The world government's fear. The world government's treatment of Elbaf reveals much about what they fear the giants might know or possess. Despite Elbaf's immense military power, the world government has never attempted to force them into membership or destroy them outright. This restraint suggests that they either fear the giants' strength or respect their knowledge. The arrival of the gods' knights on Elbaf during the current arc represents a significant escalation in the world government's approach to the giant kingdom. This change in strategy suggests that recent events, possibly related to the ancient weapons, have made the giants' knowledge or power too dangerous to ignore. The world government's primary goal has always been to prevent the ancient weapons from being used against them. Their fear of Elbaf suggests that the giants possess either one of the weapons themselves or knowledge that could be used to counter the world government's own ancient weapon capabilities. The fact that Vegapunk chose to broadcast his message about the ancient weapons and the sinking world while having extensive knowledge of Elbaf's historical records is not coincidental. The giant's knowledge was likely crucial for his understanding of the coming crisis and the role the ancient weapons would play in it. The ancient kingdom connection. Evidence suggests that Elbaf was allied with the Great Kingdom during the Void Century conflict. The giants' independence from the world government, their knowledge of suppressed history, and their connection to the sun god all point to their ancestors having fought against the 20 kingdoms that would become the world government. The Great Kingdom was described as having mighty power and advanced technology, which aligns with what we know about the ancient weapons. If Elbaf was allied with this kingdom, the giants might have been involved in the creation or protection of these powerful weapons. The D clan's connection to the Great Kingdom provides another link to Elbaf, as Jaguar D, Saul's presence on the island, creates a bridge between the giants and the inherited will of the ancient kingdom. Saul's role in preserving O'Hara's knowledge has made him a guardian of historical truth, much like the giants themselves. The ancient mural on the treasure tree. Adam shows various races united in conflict, which mirrors the Great Kingdom's described alliance of different peoples. This visual record supports the theory that Elbaf was part of the ancient coalition that opposed the 20 kingdoms. Future implications. As the series moves toward its final conflict, Elbaf's knowledge of the ancient weapons becomes increasingly crucial. The giants' historical understanding could determine how these powerful weapons are used in the coming war and whether they serve as tools of liberation or destruction. The preservation of ancient knowledge in Elbaf means that crucial information about countering the world government's use of Uranus might exist on the island. The giants' records could contain details about the weapon's weaknesses or methods for neutralizing its devastating power. The connection between Elbaf and the other ancient weapons suggests that the giants will play a crucial role in the final saga. Their knowledge could guide the proper use of Pluton and Poseidon, ensuring that these weapons serve their original purpose rather than becoming tools of oppression. The alliance between the Straw Hat Pirates and the giants represents more than just political cooperation. It represents the restoration of the ancient alliance that once opposed tyranny during the Void Century. This renewed partnership could be essential for achieving the liberation that Joy Boy originally sought. The technological legacy. The advanced technology described in the Harley texts suggests that the ancient world possessed scientific knowledge that far exceeded anything in the current era. The giant's preservation of this information could provide insights into technologies that the world government has worked to suppress. The mother flame represents just one example of how ancient knowledge can be applied to modern problems. The giant's historical records might contain information about other advanced technologies that could be crucial for the coming conflict. The connection between ancient energy sources and the ancient weapons suggests that understanding one could lead to mastering the others. The giant's knowledge of the forbidden sun might be the key to creating countermeasures against the world government's use of Uranus. The preservation of this technological legacy in Elbaf represents hope for a future where advanced knowledge serves all people rather than just those in power. The giant's commitment to maintaining this information could be crucial for rebuilding the world after the coming conflict. The pattern of history. The Harley texts reveal that the world has faced destruction twice before through the misuse of advanced technology and powerful weapons. This pattern suggests that the current crisis is not unprecedented, but rather the latest iteration of a recurring cycle. Understanding this historical pattern could be crucial for breaking the cycle and preventing future catastrophes. The giant's knowledge of how previous civilizations fell could provide guidance for avoiding the same mistakes in the current era. The role of the ancient weapons in these historical cycles suggests that they are not inherently evil, but rather tools that can be used for good or ill, depending on who controls them. The giant's understanding of their original purpose could be essential for ensuring they serve liberation rather than oppression. The coming conflict represents an opportunity to break the cycle of destruction and create a world where knowledge and power serve all people. The giant's preserved wisdom could be the key to achieving this transformation and fulfilling the ancient promise of true freedom. The connection between Elbaf and the ancient weapons represents one of the most important relationships in the One Piece world. As the series approaches its climax, the giant's knowledge and strength will likely prove decisive in determining whether these legendary weapons bring about liberation or destruction. The preservation of ancient wisdom on Elbaf may well be the key to fulfilling Joy Boy's original dream and creating a world of true freedom. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to Usopp's Brave Warrior arc theory, the foundation of a dream. Usopp's journey to become a brave warrior of the sea began long before he ever set foot on the Thousand Sunny. From his earliest days in Syrup Village, the young sniper was defined by two seemingly contradictory traits: his tendency to lie and his deep admiration for his absent father, Yasopp. These elements would prove to be the cornerstone of what many fans believe will be his most defining character arc on Elbaf. The dream itself was first crystallized during the Little Garden arc when Usopp encountered Dory and Brogy, the legendary giant warriors who had been locked in an honorable duel for over a century. Their unwavering dedication to their warrior code and their incredible bravery in the face of certain death struck something deep within Usopp's character. Here were beings who embodied everything he aspired to become: fearless, honorable, and willing to risk everything for their beliefs. This encounter planted the seed that would grow throughout the entire series. Usopp's declaration that he wanted to become a brave warrior of the sea wasn't just a casual statement. It represented a fundamental shift in his character's trajectory. Unlike many of his crewmates, whose dreams were more abstract or distant, Usopp's goal was deeply personal and psychological. He wasn't trying to find something external like the One Piece or All Blue. He was trying to transform himself from the inside out. The significance of this dream becomes even more apparent when considering Usopp's background. Growing up without a father figure and watching his mother's health deteriorate while maintaining hope for Yasopp's return shaped Usopp into someone who used lies as a coping mechanism. His daily routine of shouting about pirate attacks wasn't just mischief, it was a child's desperate attempt to make his fantasies of adventure and heroism feel real. The giant's influence. The impact of Dori and Brogy on Usopp cannot be overstated. These two giants represented everything that Usopp felt he lacked: courage, honor, strength, and an unshakable moral code. Their century-long duel, fought with respect and admiration for each other despite being mortal enemies, showed Usopp what true warrior spirit looked like. What made their influence even more profound was how they treated Usopp during his time on Little Garden. Despite his obvious fear and relatively weak physical abilities, they saw something in him that he couldn't see in himself. They recognized his potential for bravery, even when it was buried under layers of cowardice and self-doubt. This recognition from warriors he so deeply admired gave Usopp his first real glimpse of who he could become. The giant's code of honor particularly resonated with Usopp because it offered him a framework for understanding courage that went beyond simple physical strength. Dori and Brogy weren't brave because they were powerful. They were powerful because they were brave. Their strength came from their convictions, their loyalty to their principles, and their willingness to face any challenge with dignity and resolve. This lesson would prove crucial for Usopp's development throughout the series. Unlike Luffy, Zoro, or Sanji, who possessed natural physical gifts that made them formidable fighters, Usopp had to find his courage in different ways. The giants showed him that bravery wasn't about being fearless. It was about acting with honor, despite your fears. The promise he made to return to Elbaf wasn't just about visiting their homeland. It was about proving to himself and to them that he had grown into the kind of warrior they believed he could become. This promise has hung over Usopp's character for the entire series, creating anticipation for the moment when he would finally have the chance to fulfill it. The pattern of growth. Throughout the One Piece series, Usopp's development has followed a consistent pattern that supports the theory of his transformation in Elbaf. In virtually every major arc, Usopp faces moments where his natural cowardice is overcome by his determination to protect his friends and uphold his principles. These moments of courage have become increasingly frequent and significant as the series has progressed. During the Arabasta arc, Usopp's fight with Miss Merry Christmas demonstrated his willingness to endure physical punishment rather than abandon his friends. Even while being beaten and mocked, he refused to let anyone insult Luffy's dream of becoming Pirate King. This scene was crucial because it showed that Usopp's loyalty to his crew could overcome his self-preservation instincts. The Water 7 and Enies Lobby arcs marked another major step in Usopp's development. His conflict with Luffy over the Going Merry revealed his deep emotional attachment to the crew and his fear of being left behind due to his perceived weakness. The creation of his Sogeking persona allowed him to act courageously by separating his heroic actions from his cowardly identity, but it also showed his growing ability to be brave when his friends needed him. His moment of defiance against the world government agents at Enies Lobby when he ordered them to burn down their flag was perhaps his greatest act of courage. Up to that point, standing alone against overwhelming odds, Usopp chose to declare war on the world's most powerful organization because they had hurt Robin. This scene perfectly encapsulated his growth. Through his fear, he was still terrified, but his fear no longer controlled his actions. The Dressrosa arc represented another significant milestone in Usopp's journey. His awakening of observation haki during the battle against Sugar wasn't just a power upgrade, it was a manifestation of his spiritual growth. The ability came to him not through training or desperation, but through his determination to save his friends from across an impossible distance. This moment earned him the title God Usopp and showed that his journey toward becoming a brave warrior was producing tangible results. The observation haki connection. Usopp's awakening of observation haki during the Dressrosa arc was a pivotal moment that has significant implications for his potential development in Elbaf. This type of haki, also known as Kenbunshoku haki, perfectly complements his role as the crew's sniper and represents a natural evolution of his abilities. The circumstances of his haki awakening were particularly meaningful. Faced with the desperate situation of Luffy and Law being in mortal danger from Sugar's powers, Usopp transcended his physical limitations and fear to achieve something extraordinary. He was able to perceive their auras through solid walls across a vast distance and make an impossible shot that saved not only his crewmates, but also freed all of Sugar's victims. This moment demonstrated that Usopp's growth as a warrior wasn't dependent on becoming physically stronger like Zoro or developing devil fruit powers like Luffy. Instead, his path toward bravery involved developing his natural talents and spiritual awareness to their full potential. Observation. Haki represents the perfect synthesis of his role as a sniper and his journey toward becoming a brave warrior. However, fans have noted that Usopp's use of observation haki has been inconsistent since Dressrosa. This apparent regression has led to speculation that his time in Elbaf will involve properly mastering this ability under the guidance of the giants or potentially his father, Yasopp. The fact that Yasopp is also a sniper with presumably advanced haki abilities creates perfect narrative conditions for Usopp to receive the training he needs to fully realize his potential. The advanced applications of observation haki could transform Usopp from a support fighter into a truly formidable warrior. The ability to see slightly into the future, sense emotions and intentions, or even communicate across vast distances would make him an invaluable asset to the crew and prove that strength comes in many forms. The Yasopp factor. Perhaps no element of Usopp's potential character arc in Elbaf is as anticipated as his reunion with his father, Yasopp. This meeting has been building tension throughout the entire series, with both characters expressing complex emotions about the prospect of seeing each other again. Yasopp's decision to leave his family to pursue his dream of becoming a pirate has cast a long shadow over Usopp's entire life. The absence of his father during his mother's illness and death left Usopp with complicated feelings of abandonment, admiration, and resentment. Despite this, Usopp has consistently expressed pride in his father's accomplishments and has used Yasopp's reputation as motivation for his own journey. The fact that Yasopp has been with Shanks's crew, one of the most powerful pirate crews in the world, for over 2 decades, suggests that he has achieved a level of skill and reputation that far exceeds what Usopp has accomplished so far. This creates an interesting dynamic for their potential reunion. Usopp will be meeting not just his father, but also one of the world's most skilled snipers. Recent revelations about Yasopp's ruthless efficiency in destroying Bartolomeo's ship have added a darker dimension to his character. This display of power showed that he has developed beyond just marksmanship into a truly dangerous combatant who won't hesitate to use lethal force when his crew's honor is at stake. This raises questions about whether Usopp is prepared to meet the man his father has become. The reunion could serve multiple narrative purposes. On a personal level, it could provide closure for both characters and allow them to address the pain of their separation. On a practical level, Yasopp could serve as a mentor who helps Usopp develop his haki abilities and sniping skills to their full potential. The training montage possibilities alone make this reunion one of the most anticipated moments in the series. However, the reunion also carries the potential for conflict. If circumstances force the Straw Hat Pirates and Red Hair Pirates into opposition, Usopp and Yasopp might find themselves on opposite sides of a battle. This scenario would test Usopp's loyalty to his crew against his desire to connect with his father, potentially forcing him to prove his bravery by standing up to the man he has admired his entire life. The Land of Warriors. Elbaf itself represents the perfect setting for Usopp's transformation into a brave warrior of the sea. As the homeland of the giants who first inspired his dream, the island carries deep symbolic significance for his character arc. More practically, Elbaf's culture of warrior honor and bravery provides an environment where Usopp's growth can be properly nurtured and tested. The giants of Elbaf have maintained their warrior traditions for centuries, creating a society where courage, honor, and strength are the highest virtues. For someone like Usopp, who has struggled with self-doubt and cowardice throughout his life, being immersed in this culture could could provide the final push he needs to fully embrace his warrior identity. The island's independence from the world government also means that Usopp will be free to explore his potential without the constant threat of marine interference. This freedom could allow for extended training sequences and character development that might not be possible on other islands. Furthermore, Elbaf's connection to ancient history and the Void Century through the preserved books from Ohara creates opportunities for Usopp to learn about the broader context of his journey. Understanding the historical significance of courage and resistance against tyranny could help him appreciate the importance of his own growth as a warrior. The presence of the giant warrior pirates, who have connections to Dory and Brogy, ensures that Usopp's time on Elbaf will be tied directly to the promise he made so many years ago. These giants can serve as both judges of his progress and guides for his continued development. The lies that became truth. One of the most fascinating aspects of Usopp's character development has been the way his lies have consistently become reality throughout the series. This pattern suggests that his journey in Elbaf will involve the ultimate fulfillment of his greatest lie, Forsyth, that he is already a brave warrior of the sea. From his early claims about having 8,000 followers to his boasts about incredible adventures, Usopp's lies have served as a form of unconscious prophecy. His fictional accounts of heroic deeds have repeatedly foreshadowed real events in his life, suggesting that his imagination contains insights into his true potential that his conscious mind hasn't yet grasped. The most significant of these lies has been his consistent claim to be a brave warrior, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. For most of the series, this has seemed like wishful thinking or simple self-deception. However, his moments of genuine courage and his gradual development suggest that this lie is slowly becoming truth. In Elbaf, surrounded by the giants who represent the pinnacle of warrior culture, Usopp may finally have the opportunity to make his greatest lie into his greatest truth. The transformation wouldn't happen overnight, but the foundation has been carefully laid throughout the entire series. This pattern of lies becoming reality also suggests that Usopp's other claims about his abilities and adventures may find fulfillment in Elbaf. His stories about leading great armies could be realized through his connection with the giant warrior pirates. His tales of incredible marksmanship could become fact through advanced hockey training. The role of fear. Understanding Usopp's relationship with fear is crucial to appreciating his potential transformation in Elbaf. Unlike traditional brave heroes who seem naturally fearless, Usopp's courage has always been defined by his ability to act despite being terrified. This makes his journey more relatable and ultimately more meaningful than simple displays of natural bravery. The Giants' warrior culture provides an interesting perspective on the role of fear in courage. Their traditions likely acknowledge that fear is a natural response to danger, but that true warriors are defined by their ability to face that fear with honor and determination. This philosophy aligns perfectly with Usopp's character arc and could provide him with the framework he needs to fully embrace his warrior identity. Elbaf could serve as the place where Usopp learns to view his fear not as a weakness to be overcome, but as a source of strength that makes his courage more meaningful. The Giants' respect for those who face overwhelming odds with dignity could help Usopp appreciate that his struggles with fear haven't made him weak. They've made his moments of bravery more heroic. This recontextualization of fear could be the key to Usopp's final transformation. Instead of trying to eliminate his fear, he could learn to channel it into a source of power that makes him a more effective warrior and a more valuable member of his crew. The sniper's evolution. Usopp's role as the crew's sniper has always been perfectly suited to his personality and abilities, but Elbaf could represent the place where this role evolves to its full potential. The combination of giant warrior training, potential father-son mentorship with Yasopp, and the development of his hockey abilities could transform him from a support fighter into a true combat specialist. The strategic value of an elite sniper in the conflicts to come cannot be understated. As the series moves toward its final confrontations with the world government and other Emperor crews, having someone who can eliminate key targets from impossible distances could be the difference between victory and defeat. Usopp's observation haki, when properly developed, could allow him to perceive threats and opportunities that others miss entirely. Combined with his natural creativity and tactical thinking, this could make him invaluable in large-scale battles where information and positioning are crucial. The giant's combat traditions likely include archery and long-range warfare techniques that could complement Usopp's existing skills. Learning their methods could provide him with new approaches to combat that utilize his intelligence and precision rather than requiring raw physical power. The promise fulfilled. Usopp's promise to return to Elbaf has been one of the longest-running plot threads in the series, and its fulfillment carries enormous symbolic weight for his character. The promise was made when he was still weak and cowardly, but it represented his commitment to growth and his belief in his own potential. Returning to Elbaf as a member of an emperor's crew with a bounty of 500 million berries and the title God Usopp shows how much he has already grown from the frightened boy who first made that promise. However, the true test will be whether he has internalized the lessons of courage and honor that the giants tried to teach him. The giants who remember Dory and Brogy will likely judge Usopp not by his reputation or bounty, but by his character and his adherence to warrior principles. This creates an opportunity for him to prove that his growth has been genuine and that he truly deserves to be called a brave warrior of the sea. The fulfillment of this promise could also serve as validation for all the other Straw Hats' dreams. If Usopp can achieve his goal of becoming a brave warrior, it reinforces the idea that all their dreams are achievable through dedication and growth. The final test. Elbaf will likely present Usopp with challenges that test every aspect of his growth as a warrior. These challenges could come in many forms: physical trials that test his courage, moral dilemmas that test his principles, or strategic situations that test his tactical abilities. The presence of powerful enemies like the God's Knights, who have recently appeared on Elbaf, ensures that Usopp will have opportunities to prove his worth in actual combat. These opponents represent the kind of world-level threats that require every Straw Hat to be at their absolute best. The island's political situation, with Prince Loki imprisoned and the kingdom without clear leadership, could also present situations where Usopp's courage and tactical thinking are needed to help resolve complex problems. His ability to inspire others and see solutions that others miss could be crucial in these scenarios. Most importantly, any test of Usopp's warrior status will need to address his core fear, the fear of being abandoned or left behind due to his perceived weakness. Elbaf could provide him with the confidence and skills he needs to know that he belongs with the Straw Hat Pirates, not despite his limitations, but because of how he has grown beyond them. The transformation complete. The ultimate goal of Usopp's arc in Elbaf is not just to make him stronger or more skilled, but to complete his psychological transformation from a frightened liar into a genuine brave warrior of the sea. This transformation has been building throughout the entire series, with each major arc contributing another piece to the puzzle. When this transformation is complete, Usopp will have achieved something unique among the Straw Hat Pirates. While his crewmates have grown stronger and developed new abilities, Usopp will have fundamentally changed who he is as a person. He will have proven that courage can be learned, that warriors are made, not born, and that even the most unlikely person can achieve their dreams through determination and growth. This transformation will also position him perfectly for the final conflicts of the series. An Usopp who has fully embraced his warrior identity, mastered his haki abilities, and learned to channel his fear into strength will be an invaluable asset in the battles against the world government and other final antagonists. The completion of Usopp's journey from coward to brave warrior will serve as one of the most satisfying character arcs in the series. It will show that heroism comes in many forms, and that the most meaningful victories are often the ones we achieve over ourselves. The brave warrior of the sea that Usopp becomes in Elbaf will be the culmination of years of growth, struggle, and determination. He will have earned his title not through natural talent or devil fruit powers, but through the most difficult path of all, changing himself from the inside out. This transformation will make him not just a more effective fighter, but a more complete person who has finally become worthy of the dreams he has carried since childhood. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to Elbaf as the world's strongest nation theory, the foundation of unrivaled power. Since Dorian Brogy's introduction during the Little Garden arc, Elbaf has been consistently portrayed as something beyond the ordinary nations of the One Piece world. The two giant warriors spoke of their homeland with such pride and reverence that it became clear this was no ordinary kingdom. Their declaration as proud warriors of Elbaf carried weight that resonated far beyond simple patriotism. It represented their connection to what many consider the most powerful military force in the world. The reputation of Elbaf as the strongest nation is not based on empty boasts or legends. It is a designation that has been earned through centuries of military dominance and warrior culture that has produced some of the most formidable fighters ever seen. When characters in the One Piece world speak of Elbaf, they do so with a mixture of awe and fear that is reserved for truly exceptional powers. The giant's natural physical advantages provide the foundation for Elbaf's military supremacy, standing at heights that range from 12 to 22 meters, with some exceptional individuals reaching even greater proportions. Giants possess strength that dwarfs any other race in the world. A single giant can accomplish feats that would require entire squads of humans, and their natural durability allows them to withstand attacks that would devastate normal warriors. However, Elbaf's strength extends far beyond the mere physical capabilities of its inhabitants. The island has developed a warrior culture that has refined the natural advantages of the giants into a disciplined military force capable of conquering entire regions. This combination of innate power and martial tradition has created a nation that exists in a category entirely separate from other kingdoms. The historical precedent for Elbaf's dominance is well established in the One Piece world. Long ago, the giants of Elbaf conquered the entire New World, demonstrating that their reputation for strength is built on actual military achievement rather than mere reputation. This conquest represents one of the most significant military campaigns in recorded history, and it established Elbaf as a force that even the world government must respect. Historical military dominance. The military history of Elbaf reads like a catalog of overwhelming victories and strategic dominance that spans centuries. The nation's warriors have consistently proven themselves capable of achieving what other forces considered impossible, establishing a legacy of military success that continues to influence global politics to this day. The most significant demonstration of Elbaf's military prowess was their ancient conquest of the New World. This was not a temporary expansion or a series of raids, but a complete military domination of the most dangerous and contested waters in the world. The fact that giants were able to establish control over the New World, a region where even the strongest pirate crews struggle to maintain territory, speaks to their exceptional military capabilities. This conquest was achieved not through superior numbers or advanced technology, but through the raw combat effectiveness of giant warriors. Each giant warrior represented a force equivalent to an entire platoon of human soldiers, and their coordinated military campaigns were virtually unstoppable. The psychological impact of facing an army of giants was often as decisive as their physical capabilities, with many enemies surrendering rather than facing certain destruction. The giant warrior pirates, led by legendary figures like Jorul and Jarul, and later by Dory and Brogy, served as the naval extension of Elbaf's military power. These pirate crews were so feared that their very existence influenced global politics, with other powers adjusting their strategies specifically to avoid confrontation with giant warriors. The bounties placed on these giants reflected not just their individual threat level, but the recognition that they represented the military might of an entire nation. Even in more recent history, individual giants have demonstrated the combat capabilities that make Elbaf such a formidable force. During the O'Hara incident, Jaguar D. Sol single-handedly destroyed multiple Marine battleships, showing that even one giant could pose a significant threat to organized military forces. This incident provided a stark reminder to the world government of what would happen if they faced Elbaf's full military might. The longevity of giants adds another dimension to their military effectiveness, where human armies must constantly train new recruits and deal with the loss of experienced veterans. Giant warriors can accumulate centuries of combat experience. Veterans like Dori and Brogi have been honing their skills for over a century, representing a level of martial expertise that is impossible for shorter-lived races to achieve. The world government's fear. The relationship between the world government and Elbaf reveals the true extent of the giant nation's power through the obvious fear and caution displayed by the world's most powerful organization. Despite controlling the vast majority of the world's nations and commanding military forces that include the Marines, Cypherpol, and various affiliated kingdoms, the world government has never attempted to forcibly subjugate Elbaf. This restraint is not born of respect or diplomatic courtesy, but of genuine fear of the consequences. Historical precedent has shown the world government exactly what happens when they threaten the giants of Elbaf, and the results were so alarming that they fundamentally changed how the government approaches the giant nation. The most telling example of this fear occurred over a century ago, when Mother Carmel threatened that Elbaf might declare war on the world in response to the planned execution of captured giant warrior pirates. The Marines' response was immediate and complete capitulation. Elbaf, they released the giants rather than risk provoking Elbaf's military response. This is particularly significant because the Marines showed no such fear, even when facing the prospect of war against the entire Whitebeard pirates' crew decades later. This comparison is crucial for understanding Elbaf's true power level. The Whitebeard pirates, led by the world's strongest man, and including multiple division commanders of extraordinary ability, were considered manageable opponents by the world government. They planned and executed a full-scale war against Whitebeard at Marineford, confident in their ability to achieve victory. Yet the mere possibility of conflict with Elbaf was enough to make them abandon their plans entirely. The world government's attempts to gain some measure of control over giant power have been limited to indirect methods that reveal their recognition of Elbaf's independence. Their recruitment of individual giants into the Marines, while successful in some cases, represents a careful approach that avoids anything that might be seen as aggressive toward Elbaf itself. Even these recruitment efforts are conducted through intermediaries like Mother Carmel rather than direct government action. Recent developments have shown that the world government's fear of Elbaf remains as strong as ever. The deployment of the Holy Knights to Elbaf represents their most aggressive move toward the giant nation in decades. But even this intervention is focused on subtle manipulation rather than direct confrontation. Their attempt to recruit Prince Loki, rather than simply capturing or eliminating him, shows that they still prefer negotiation to force when dealing with Elbaf's power. Strategic military value. From a purely strategic perspective, Elbaf represents the ultimate force multiplier in any large-scale conflict. The military value of securing Elbaf's allegiance goes far beyond simply adding their warriors to one's forces. It represents the ability to fundamentally alter the balance of power in any theater of operations. The combat effectiveness of giant warriors makes them ideal for both offensive and defensive operations. In offensive campaigns, giants can serve as living siege engines, capable of breaking through fortifications that would require extensive artillery to breach. Their ability to operate in environments that would be challenging for normal-sized forces gives them tactical flexibility that conventional armies cannot match. Defensively, giants are equally valuable as anchor points for larger battle lines. Their natural durability and reach make them nearly impossible to dislodge from defensive positions, while their psychological impact on enemy forces can break charges before they even reach giant lines. A few well-positioned giants can hold territory that would require hundreds of conventional troops to defend. The naval capabilities of giants add another layer to their strategic value. Giant-built ships, like those used by the giant warrior pirates, are larger and more durable than conventional vessels, capable of carrying more supplies and surviving damage that would sink normal ships. In naval warfare, the ability to field ships and crews that operate on a giant scale provides significant advantages in both combat and logistics. Perhaps most importantly, giants represent a force that cannot be easily countered by conventional military doctrine. The world government has spent enormous resources attempting to create artificial giants precisely because they recognize that there is no effective counter to giant warriors other than more giants. Technologies like the Pacifista and Seraphim projects represent attempts to find alternatives, but these artificial constructs still cannot match the combination of size, strength, and intelligence that natural giants provide. The intelligence and tactical acumen of giants make them far more than simple brute force weapons. Leaders like Dory and Brogy have demonstrated strategic thinking that rivals the best human commanders, while their century-spanning experience gives them perspective on warfare that shorter-lived tacticians cannot match. This combination of physical power and tactical intelligence makes giant armies incredibly difficult to outmaneuver or defeat through strategy alone. The independence factor. Elbaf's status as one of the few nations that has maintained complete independence from the world government is both a source of its strength and a testament to its power. This independence is not simply political autonomy, it represents the practical reality that Elbaf possesses enough military might to enforce its sovereignty against any challenger. The rarity of truly independent nations in the One Piece world underscores just how exceptional Elbaf's position is. Most nations that attempt to remain outside world government control either lack the strength to enforce their independence or rely on the protection of external forces like the Four Emperors. Elbaf stands alone in its ability to maintain sovereignty through its own power. This independence has allowed Elbaf to develop its military capabilities without external interference or limitation. While world government-affiliated nations must balance their military development with their obligations to the central authority, Elbaf has been free to focus entirely on maximizing its warrior culture and combat effectiveness. This has resulted in a military force that is optimized for warfare rather than compromised by political considerations. The cultural implications of this independence are equally significant. Elbaf's warrior culture has developed without the moderating influence of world government oversight, creating a society that prioritizes martial excellence above all other considerations. This has produced generations of warriors who are not just physically powerful, but mentally conditioned for warfare in ways that government-controlled militaries cannot match. The psychological impact of Elbaf's independence extends beyond its own borders. Other nations see Elbaf as proof that resistance to world government control is possible, which could inspire similar independence movements if Elbaf were to actively support such efforts. This makes Elbaf not just a military threat, but a potential catalyst for broader political upheaval. Big Mom's recognition. Perhaps no statement about Elbaf's military power carries more weight than Charlotte Linlin's declaration that gaining the allegiance of the Giants would have allowed her to defeat all other emperors and claim the title of Pirate King. Coming from someone who had already achieved the status of emperor and commanded vast military forces of her own, this assessment represents an expert evaluation of Elbaf's true capabilities. Big Mom's statement is particularly significant because she had first-hand experience with giant power, having lived among the giants as a child and witnessed their capabilities up close. Her assessment was not based on rumor or reputation, but on direct observation of what giants could accomplish in battle. When someone of her stature declares that giant allegiance would have been decisive, it must be taken as an authoritative evaluation. The fact that Big Mom pursued an alliance with Elbaf through marriage negotiations rather than attempting conquest reveals her understanding of the giant's strength. Despite commanding one of the most powerful pirate crews in the world, including multiple children with formidable devil fruit abilities, she recognized that direct confrontation with Elbaf would be counterproductive. This suggests that she believed Elbaf's military might was comparable to or greater than her own forces. Big Mom's long-term strategy of attempting to recruit giants through various means demonstrates the sustained effort she was willing to invest in gaining access to their power. The fact that she continued pursuing this goal for decades, despite repeated setbacks and the obvious challenges involved, shows how highly she valued the potential military advantage that giant allies would provide. The specific nature of Big Mom's statement, CD, that she could have defeated all other emperors, provides insight into how she viewed the relative power levels in the New World. She was not claiming that giants would make her slightly stronger or give her an edge in close battles. She was declaring that giant support would have made her completely dominant, able to overcome multiple emperor-level forces simultaneously. Modern demonstrations of power. Recent events in the One Piece story have provided concrete demonstrations of why Elbaf maintains its reputation as the world's strongest nation. The appearance of Dory and Brogy during the Egghead incident served as a reminder of what giant warriors can accomplish when motivated to fight. The ease with which the two giants disrupted marine operations on Egghead illustrated the tactical impact that giants can have on modern warfare. Despite facing forces that included admiral-level opponents and the most advanced military technology available to the world government, the giants were able to significantly alter the battle dynamics through their intervention. This showed that giant power remains relevant and decisive, even against contemporary military forces. The destruction of the Kid Pirates by Dory and Brogy provided another stark demonstration of giant combat capabilities. The Kid Pirates, led by a supernova with a bounty exceeding 1 billion berries and armed with advanced weaponry, were completely overwhelmed by just two giants working in coordination. This encounter showed that even the most powerful modern pirate crews would struggle against organized giant resistance. The psychological impact of giant intervention cannot be overlooked. The mere appearance of Dory and Brogy was enough to shift the morale and tactical calculations of all parties involved in the Egghead conflict. This suggests that the reputation of giant warriors continues to precede them, creating strategic advantages before any actual combat begins. The loyalty and coordination displayed by the giants during these recent events also demonstrated that Elbaf's military effectiveness is not simply a matter of individual power, but of organized group tactics. The giants fought as a coordinated unit with clear tactical objectives, showing that they retain the military discipline that made their ancient conquests possible. The final war implications. As the One Piece story approaches its climactic final war, the question of Elbaf's allegiance becomes crucial for all parties involved. The nation's military power is significant enough that whichever side secures their support will gain an enormous advantage in any large-scale conflict. The strategic calculations surrounding Elbaf explain why multiple factions are currently active on the island. The world government's deployment of the Holy Knights represents their recognition that they cannot allow Elbaf to align against them. The presence of Shanks and his crew in Elbaf's vicinity suggests that the Emperor understands the importance of maintaining influence over the giants. Luffy's arrival with the Straw Hat Pirates creates another potential avenue for alliance. The timing of these various interests converging on Elbaf is not coincidental. As tensions escalate toward inevitable conflict, each faction recognizes that securing Elbaf's support could be decisive. The giants' traditional values of honor and warrior pride mean that their allegiance will likely be determined by which faction proves most worthy of their respect, rather than through political maneuvering or economic incentives. The current political situation in Elbaf, with Prince Loki imprisoned and the throne vacant following King Harold's death, creates both opportunities and challenges for those seeking giant support. The power vacuum means that establishing relationships with the right individuals could secure the allegiance of the entire nation, but it also means that the political situation is unstable and potentially dangerous. the historical connections between various characters and Elbaf will likely play crucial roles in determining the giants' eventual alignment. Luffy's relationship with Dory and Brogy, Usopp's dream of becoming a brave warrior of the sea, and the crew's general reputation for standing up to tyranny all position the Straw Hats as natural allies for a nation that values courage and honor. The technology gap, one of the most significant factors in Elbaf's continued relevance as the world's strongest nation, is the world government's inability to artificially replicate giant power, despite decades of research and experimentation. This technological gap ensures that Elbaf's natural advantages cannot be easily countered or replaced by government innovations. Dr. Vegapunk, widely regarded as the world's greatest scientist, has attempted to create artificial giants without success. His inability to solve this problem, despite his revolutionary advances in other areas of science and technology, demonstrates the unique nature of giant physiology and the challenges involved in replicating their capabilities artificially. Caesar Clown's experiments with gigantification, while achieving some limited success, required unethical procedures involving children and produced results that were temporary and dangerous. The fact that even these morally questionable approaches failed to create stable artificial giants shows how difficult it is to replicate what Elbaf produces naturally. The numbers, created through world government experiments, represent the closest approximation to artificial giants that has been achieved. However, these creatures suffer from significant mental limitations and physical abnormalities that make them far less effective than natural giants. Their use by the Beast Pirates as shock troops, rather than strategic assets, demonstrates their limitations compared to true giant warriors. The ongoing inability to create effective artificial giants means that the world government cannot simply develop a technological solution to counter Elbaf's power. This ensures that the giants maintain their strategic advantage and that their allegiance remains crucial for any faction seeking military dominance. Cultural and psychological warfare. Elbaf's strength extends beyond pure military might to encompass cultural and psychological elements that make their warriors particularly effective in large-scale conflicts. The giant warrior culture produces fighters who are not just physically powerful but mentally conditioned for the realities of warfare in ways that other military forces struggle to match. The honor-based culture of Elbaf creates warriors who view death in battle as the highest achievement possible. This mindset eliminates many of the psychological barriers that limit the effectiveness of conventional soldiers, creating troops who will fight to the death rather than retreat or surrender. This psychological advantage can be decisive in conflicts where morale and determination are crucial factors. The longevity of giants means that their military traditions are passed down through direct experience rather than theoretical instruction. Veterans like Dory and Brogy can provide first-hand accounts of battles that occurred decades or centuries ago, creating an institutional memory that preserves tactical knowledge and strategic wisdom across generations. The pride that giants take in their warrior heritage creates a level of unit cohesion that is difficult to achieve in other military organizations. Every giant warrior sees themselves as representing not just their own honor, but the reputation of Elbaf itself. This creates powerful motivation to perform at the highest level and maintain the standards that have made Elbaf legendary. The psychological impact of giant warriors on their enemies cannot be underestimated. The sheer size and presence of giants can break the morale of opposing forces before combat even begins. This psychological advantage allows giant armies to achieve victories that go beyond what their numerical strength would suggest. The decisive factor, as various factions position themselves for the final conflicts of the One Piece story, Elbaf's military power represents the ultimate wild card that could determine the outcome of global warfare. The nation's strength is sufficient to tip the balance in any major conflict, making their eventual allegiance one of the most important strategic questions facing all participants. The world government recognizes this reality which explains their current aggressive approach to Elbaf through the Holy Knights. They understand that allowing the giants to align with their enemies could be catastrophic for their plans to maintain global control. Their attempts to recruit Prince Loki and establish influence over Elbaf represent a recognition that they cannot afford to have the giants as enemies. For the Revolutionary Army, securing Elbaf's support would provide them with the military strength needed to challenge the world government directly. The giants' warrior culture and historical independence make them natural allies for a movement dedicated to overthrowing tyranny and establishing freedom. The Straw Hat Pirates, through their growing connections with giant warriors and their reputation for standing up to oppression, are well positioned to earn Elbaf's support. Their alliance with the giants would provide them with the military backing needed to face the world government in the final confrontation while staying true to their values of friendship and honor. The ultimate question facing Elbaf is not whether they possess the strength to influence the outcome of the final war, but how they will choose to use that strength. Their decision will likely determine not just who wins the coming conflicts, but what kind of world emerges from the aftermath. As the strongest nation in the world, Elbaf holds the power to shape the future of the entire One Piece universe. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on, we have 3 worlds divided by realms structure theory. The Norse Foundation. The connection between Elbaf and Norse mythology runs far deeper than simple aesthetic inspiration. While the giant warriors with their Viking-inspired designs and battle culture provide the surface-level Norse elements, the true mythological foundation lies in the structural organization of Elbaf itself. Around the concept of Yggdrasil, the world tree that connects multiple realms of existence. In Norse mythology, Yggdrasil stands as the cosmic axis that connects 9 distinct realms, from the heavenly Asgard where the gods dwell to the underworld, Helheim, where the dead reside. This massive ash tree serves not just as a physical connection between worlds, but as the very foundation upon which the Norse understanding of reality is built. Each realm has its own unique characteristics, inhabitants, and role in the cosmic order. Oda's incorporation of this mythological framework into One Piece represents more than just thematic borrowing. It suggests a complete cosmological system that could reshape our understanding of the world itself. The treasure tree atom that dominates Elbaf is clearly inspired by Yggdrasil, but its significance may extend far beyond being a simple landmark or source of powerful wood for shipbuilding. The Norse concept of multiple interconnected realms provides a perfect template for Oda to explore different mythological landscapes within a single location. Rather than creating entirely separate islands for different themes and cultures, the layered structure of Elbaf allows for dramatically different environments and societies to coexist in a single, cohesive location. This structural approach also aligns with One Piece's tendency to present islands that challenge conventional understanding of geography and physics. From the Sky Islands floating in the clouds to Fishman Island existing beneath the ocean floor, the series has consistently shown that the world contains impossible architectural marvels that operate according to their own unique rules. The confirmed 3 realms. Recent developments in the Elbaf arc have confirmed that the island operates according to a 3-tiered system that draws directly from Norse mythological concepts while adapting them to fit the unique narrative needs of One Piece. These 3 distinct regions, the Underworld, Sunworld, and Heavenworld, each serve specific functions within both the geography of Elbaf and the broader mythology of the One Piece universe. The Underworld, known locally as the First World, represents the lowest tier of Elbaf's structure. Located at the base of the treasure tree atom and surrounded by snow-covered mountains, this region serves as both a natural prison and execution ground for the island. The harsh climate, dangerous wildlife, and lack of sunlight make it nearly uninhabitable for most forms of life, creating a natural barrier that keeps the most dangerous criminals isolated from the rest of Elbaf's population. This realm's designation as the world where the sun has died connects it directly to the cyclical mythology that governs Elbaf's understanding of existence. In this framework, the underworld represents death, endings, and the harsh realities that must be faced before renewal can occur. Prince Loki's imprisonment in this realm is not just a practical matter of containment, but a symbolic representation of his fall from grace and separation from the divine light. The sun world, positioned on the lower branches of the treasure tree Adam, serves as the primary inhabited region of Elbaf. Here, the giant population has built thriving communities that benefit from the sunlight that filters through the tree's canopy. Multiple villages dot this region, connected by rope bridges and featuring the impressive architecture that giants require for their massive scale. This middle realm represents the present world where active life occurs. The designation of this area as the place where the sun shines emphasizes its role as the center of daily existence for Elbaf's population. The presence of schools, villages, and other social infrastructure shows that this is where the giants have chosen to build their civilization, taking advantage of the moderate climate and abundant sunlight. The heaven world, located in the uppermost reaches of the treasure tree Adam's canopy, remains largely mysterious but carries obvious significance as the highest realm of Elbaf's structure. This elevated domain likely houses elements of divine or royal importance, possibly including connections to the island's spiritual traditions and its relationship with ancient powers. Mythological significance. The three-realm structure of Elbaf operates according to a mythological framework that extends far beyond simple geographical organization. Each realm represents different aspects of existence, time, and spiritual development that connect to the broader lore of the One Piece universe and its ancient history. The mythological cycle that governs these realms centers around concepts of death and rebirth, particularly as they relate to the sun god Nika and the broader themes of liberation that run throughout the series. The underworld's designation as the place where the sun has died suggests a connection to the fall of Joy Boy and the ending of the previous era of freedom and hope. The sun world's role as the place where the sun shines represents the current era where life continues despite the loss of the sun god. The giants who inhabit this realm maintain their warrior traditions and honor the memory of Nika, but they exist in a world where the divine presence has been diminished or hidden. The heaven world, as the presumed location where the sun is reborn, points toward a future restoration of divine power and the return of true liberation. This realm may serve as a symbolic representation of the dawn that will come when the sun god Nika returns in his full power, potentially through Luffy's role as the new incarnation of this legendary figure. This cyclical understanding of time and divine power reflects the Norse concept of Ragnarok and renewal, where the end of one cosmic age leads to the birth of another. The giants of Elbaf may see themselves as guardians of this cosmic cycle, preserving the traditions and knowledge necessary for the eventual restoration of the divine order. The winter solstice festival that Elbaf celebrates reinforces this mythological framework by commemorating the death and rebirth of the Sunday. This festival likely serves as more than just a cultural tradition. It may be a ritualistic acknowledgement of the cosmic cycle that governs their world and their role in maintaining the balance between death and rebirth. The treasure tree Adam connection. The treasure tree Adam serves as more than just the physical foundation for Elbaf's three-realm structure. The Lim. It represents a direct connection to the mythological and historical forces that shaped the One Piece world. As the obvious inspiration for Yggdrasil, this massive tree carries significance that extends far beyond its role as a source of superior shipbuilding materials. The tree's position at the center of Elbaf's geography makes it the literal axis around which the entire island's civilization is organized. Each of the three realms exists in relation to the tree, with their characteristics determined by their proximity to its trunk. This creates a natural hierarchy that reflects both practical considerations and mythological symbolism. The connection between the treasure tree Adam and the sunlight tree Eve suggests that these massive trees may represent remnants of an ancient world where such cosmic structures were more common. The fact that both trees seem to possess properties that transcend normal botanical understanding indicates that they may be products of the advanced civilization that existed during the Void Century. The wood from the treasure tree Adam has been used to construct some of the most important ships in the series, including the Thousand Sunny. This suggests that the tree's significance extends beyond its role as a geographical landmark to encompass its contribution to the journeys and dreams of those who sail the seas in pursuit of freedom and adventure. The tree's apparent immunity to conventional damage or decay may indicate that it possesses some form of divine protection or ancient technology that preserves its existence. This would align with the Norse concept of Yggdrasil as an eternal structure that endures even through cosmic catastrophes, serving as a constant foundation for reality itself. Expanded realm possibilities. While the confirmed three-realm structure of Elbaf provides a solid foundation for understanding the island's organization, the Norse mythological framework suggests that additional realms or subregions may exist within or around these primary divisions. The concept of 9 realms connected by Yggdrasil offers numerous possibilities for expanding the scope of Elbaf's mythological landscape. The potential for additional realms could manifest in several ways. Subregions within each of the 3 confirmed realms could represent specialized areas with their own unique characteristics and inhabitants. For example, the underworld might contain multiple distinct regions that serve different functions within the realm of death and punishment. Alternative interpretations of the realm structure could involve horizontal expansion rather than just vertical stratification. The branches of the treasure tree Adam could support multiple communities or kingdoms that exist at the same general altitude but maintain distinct cultures and purposes. This would create a more complex political and social structure that reflects the diversity found in Norse mythology's 9 realms. The connection between Elbaf and other islands in the One Piece world could also manifest through mythological linkages that operate according to the Yggdrasil model. Sky islands, underwater locations, or even other distant lands could be understood as additional realms connected to Elbaf through cosmic or magical means that transcend normal geographical relationships. The presence of different races and cultures within Elbaf's structure could create specialized realms devoted to particular groups. Just as Norse mythology assigns different realms to gods, giants, elves, and dwarves, Elbaf could contain regions specifically designed to accommodate the various species and cultures that have sought refuge or alliance with the giants over the centuries. These expanded possibilities would allow Oda to explore a much wider range of mythological concepts and character development opportunities within the confines of a single island. Rather than rushing through multiple locations, the Elbaf arc could provide extended exploration of different mythological themes while maintaining narrative coherence and geographic consistency. Character, distribution, and development. The 3-realm structure of Elbaf creates natural opportunities for character separation and focused development that could parallel the Straw Hats' previous experiences during the time skip. By distributing different crew members across the various realms, Oda could provide each character with specialized challenges and growth opportunities that align with their individual strengths and narrative needs. The underworld's harsh environment and connection to themes of death and punishment make it an ideal location for characters who need to confront their darker aspects or develop greater resolve. Zoro's connection to themes of hell and his role as the crew's primary combatant could lead to significant development in this realm, possibly involving training or trials that enhance his already formidable abilities. The Sunworld's role as the center of giant civilization provides opportunities for characters to engage with the cultural and social aspects of Elbaf's society. Usopp's long-standing dream of becoming a brave warrior of the sea makes him a natural fit for this realm, where he could learn from the giants who first inspired his ambitions and finally achieve the transformation he has sought throughout the series. The heaven world's mysterious nature and connection to divine or royal elements could serve characters whose development involves leadership, wisdom, or spiritual growth. Luffy's role as the incarnation of the sun god Nika could lead to significant revelations about his true nature and destiny within this elevated realm. The mythological framework also suggests that characters could move between realms as part of their development, experiencing different aspects of the cosmic cycle that governs Elbaf's understanding of existence. This could create a more dynamic character development structure, where growth involves not just individual challenges, but also understanding one's place within a larger mythological framework. The potential for encountering realm-specific challenges, allies, and enemies could provide each character with unique storylines that contribute to their personal growth while advancing the overall narrative. This approach would allow for more focused character development while maintaining the sense of adventure and discovery that defines the best One Piece arcs. Ancient history and the Void Century. The mythological structure of Elbaf may serve as more than just thematic decoration. It could provide crucial insights into the ancient history of the One Piece world and the events of the Void Century that have been systematically erased from official records. The giants' long lifespans and cultural traditions may have preserved knowledge that other civilizations have lost or forgotten. The three-realm structure could reflect the actual cosmic organization that existed during the height of the ancient kingdom's power. If the advanced civilization of the Void Century possessed technology or abilities that allowed for the creation of impossible geographical structures, the layered realms of Elbaf might represent a preserved example of their architectural and engineering capabilities. The connection between the sun god Nika and the mythological cycle that governs Elbaf's realms suggests that the giants may have been direct allies or subjects of the ancient kingdom. Their preservation of traditions and knowledge related to Nika could indicate that they served as guardians of important cultural and religious practices that the world government has tried to eliminate elsewhere. The treasure tree atom itself could be a remnant of the ancient civilization's biotechnology or magical capabilities. Its extraordinary properties and apparent immunity to conventional damage suggest that it may have been created or modified by advanced techniques that are no longer available in the current era. The potential for discovering ancient ruins, texts, or artifacts within the various realms of Elbaf could provide the Straw Hats with crucial information about the true history of their world. The giants' cultural traditions may have preserved not just stories and legends, but actual historical records that could shed light on the events that led to the current world order. This historical dimension adds weight to the Elbaf arc beyond its immediate narrative function. Rather than simply serving as another adventure for the Straw Hats, their exploration of Elbaf's realms could uncover truths that fundamentally change their understanding of their world and their mission to achieve freedom and adventure. Spiritual and religious dimensions. The three-realm structure of Elbaf operates according to spiritual and religious principles that may reflect broader cosmic truths about the One Piece universe. The giants' worship of Nika and their understanding of divine cycles suggests that their mythological framework contains genuine spiritual insights rather than mere cultural traditions. The concept of death and rebirth that governs the relationship between the realms may reflect actual spiritual processes that affect the entire world. The current era's separation from divine power, represented by the underworld's status as the place where the sun has died, could indicate that the world is currently in a spiritual dark age that awaits restoration. The sun world's position as the place where the sun shines may represent the current state of spiritual awareness, where divine power is present but diminished or partially hidden. The giants who inhabit this realm may serve as keepers of spiritual knowledge and practices that maintain some connection to divine power even in the absence of the sun god's full presence. The heaven world's role as the place where the sun is reborn could represent the spiritual destination toward which the entire world is moving. The eventual restoration of divine power and the return of true freedom may require not just political change, but spiritual transformation that aligns with the cosmic cycles preserved in Elbaf's traditions. The religious practices and festivals of the giants may serve as more than cultural expressions. They could be actual, spiritual technologies that help maintain the cosmic balance and prepare for the eventual renewal of divine power. The winter solstice festival's celebration of the sun's death and rebirth may be a ritualistic participation in the cosmic cycle that governs reality itself. Integration with series themes. The three-realm structure of Elbaf integrates seamlessly with the broader themes that have defined the One Piece series from its beginning. The concepts of freedom, dreams, and the cyclical nature of history all find expression within the mythological framework that governs the island's organization and cultural traditions. The theme of freedom finds particular resonance in the mythological cycle of death and rebirth that governs the realms. The current era's separation from divine power represents a loss of true freedom that can only be restored through the return of the sun god Nika. This connects directly to Luffy's mission and his role as the incarnation of the liberation deity. The pursuit of dreams takes on cosmic significance within Elbaf's framework, where individual aspirations become part of a larger mythological narrative about the restoration of divine order. Each character's personal growth and achievement becomes a contribution to the eventual renewal of the world itself. The cyclical nature of history, which has been a recurring theme throughout the series, finds its fullest expression in Elbaf's understanding of cosmic cycles. The idea that the current age of oppression will eventually give way to a new era of freedom and divine presence provides hope and purpose that transcends immediate political or personal concerns. The integration of these themes within a coherent mythological structure gives the Elbaf arc the potential to serve as a culminating exploration of the series' deepest philosophical and spiritual concerns. Rather than simply advancing the plot toward its conclusion, the arc could provide definitive answers to questions about the nature of freedom, the purpose of dreams, and the ultimate destiny of the One Piece world. Future implications. The confirmation of Elbaf's three-realm structure has significant implications for the future development of the One Piece story and the eventual resolution of its major mysteries. The mythological framework provides a cosmic context for understanding the final conflicts that will determine the fate of the world. The cyclical understanding of history suggests that the current conflicts between the world government and forces of liberation are part of a larger cosmic pattern that has repeated throughout history. The eventual victory of freedom and the restoration of divine power may be inevitable according to the cosmic cycles preserved in Elbaf's traditions. The potential for discovering ancient knowledge and technology within Elbaf's realms could provide the tools necessary for the final confrontation with the world government. The giants' preserved wisdom and the secrets hidden within the treasure tree atom could offer practical advantages that tip the balance in favor of liberation. The spiritual dimensions of Elbaf's structure suggest that the final battles may involve more than political or military conflict. The restoration of cosmic balance and the return of divine power may require spiritual transformation that affects the entire world, not just the defeat of particular enemies. The character development opportunities provided by the three-realm structure could prepare the Straw Hats for their ultimate roles in the world's transformation. Each crew member's growth within the mythological framework of Elbaf could equip them with the understanding and abilities necessary to fulfill their part in the cosmic renewal. The integration of Norse mythology with One Piece's unique world-building creates endless possibilities for future exploration and revelation. Even after the Elbaf arc concludes, the mythological framework established there could continue to influence the series' final developments and provide context for understanding the ultimate meaning of the Straw Hats' journey. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.